Hi, everyone. Welcome. I think the chat is on a little bit of a delay, so we'll just hold on a second. I can't see anyone yet. Okay, here comes everyone. Hi. Hi, El Observador Azul. And hi, Andre, Edward. There's Owen. Hi. How's everybody doing? We're going to go ahead and let a few more people join before we start. And El Observador, I'm just going to call you Azul because that's easier for me to say. Not as many syllables. Oh, you're Roberto. Okay, I'll try to remember that, but we're probably going to have a lot of people in here, so I may not remember. But hi, everyone. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Elizabeth. Oh, and here's Lewis. Hello. Can everybody hear me okay? Can everyone hear me okay? I had somebody that was very irritating to the rest of you in my last live because they were just blowing up the chat, like just one message after the other. And so I had heard if I put messages on a little bit of a delay, that it stops that. So I think right now everything's just a little bit slowed down, and I apologize. Hi, Jill. We're not going to start with questions quite yet, just letting everybody join. Hi, Eric. There's Denise. Hi, Denise and Carmen. And Kuliana. I hope I'm saying that right. Jeff. Hello, hello. Well, why don't some of you go ahead and start with your questions? I'm not going to scroll up. And I would really appreciate that if each of you can just ask one question at a time and give me time to answer it. I am going to try to get to every question. It depends upon how many people end up joining at once, but I'll do my very best. So go ahead and hit me with your questions about all things moving from your home country, actually researching first, deciding what country is right for you, deciding what's affordable for you, lifestyle-wise, all those questions, and then visiting that country or those countries, and then finally the move and acclimating and what it's like to be an expat. And I became an expat, as most of you know, close to 2 years now. It'll be almost 2 years in January. So coming right up, my 2-year anniversary. Jeff says, my taste and standard is similar to yours. Yeah, I have a little bit of that silver spoon in my mouth, I must admit, but I'm very good at appearing that way on a very low budget. That's just me. So my lifestyle is not at all expensive here. I just have a good eye. I found a great deal in this apartment. We call condos apartments here. And found inexpensive furniture here. And I love making things look nice. And it doesn't take much here in Colombia because the architecture here is so beautiful. And then, of course, the nature outside is just so magnificent. And it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in a forest, in a valley, way up high on a mountain. It's just absolutely beautiful everywhere. Oh, Owen's asking, how challenging is it to adjust to the metric system? Well, I happen to have a car, Owen, because I decided to live way, way up high, another 12 minutes, 1,000 feet higher up this country road. So Uber and the buses don't service, and I had to buy a used car when I first got here. And I changed in the settings. I changed it to miles, and it really helps too when I'm using Waze or Google Maps. I keep it that way on my phone that feeds in through the car because I for I prefer rather than when you're getting close to a turn, if it tells me in feet, it's just easier for me rather than having to convert it. But a lot of other things, I'm getting used to it, like things in the grocery store, like grams and kilos and things. But if I have to know something super specific, then absolutely I have to use a converter. And I also have a measuring tape in my apartment that has both on it. It has the centimeters and the inches. So it's not a big deal. It's just you get used to it. And the Celsius, I'm getting used to it. Um, it's so I can tell if it's hot or cold out by looking at the Celsius. I don't have to convert it to Fahrenheit. Okay, Mandy is asking. Well, let's skip up to, I'm sorry, I skipped Denise. Is there Halloween, or Day of the Dead in Colombia? There's Halloween. Children do trick or treat. I do, get trick-or-treaters, the children that live in my gated community. But similar to the US, they have a party at the community center for the community for all the children as well, and that's usually a few days before Halloween. But they're very much into that here. They also celebrate Valentine's Day, but St. Valentine's Day is a different date than it is in the US. So most of the holidays are the same here. Okay, so Mendy has this, looks like a visa question. Does 3 months extension apply to calendar year? Um, okay, so I believe what you're asking is when you come as a tourist. And first, a lot of people think, oh, when you hear the term tourist visa, it's not really a visa. It just means you go to the airport with your international flight and you show your passport. When you arrive in Colombia, that gets stamped and it's good for 90 days. That can be, Mendy, extended another 90 days. If you want to stay longer on that first visit, that can be done. I'm not going to go into all the steps. I think all of you know that I use Huli for anything that is bureaucratic here. I mean, she just takes care of everything like this. Some people end up flying to Panama for the day and all these crazy things, but she knows how to do that sort of thing super easily without you even having to travel. So it's not consecutive, Mindy. That means that you can stay up to 6 months, but again, it's calendar days. Up to 6 months in a given 12-month period. So you just have to watch that. If you're going back and forth a lot, you have to watch that. And I'm a firm believer of don't ever cut anything close, ever, ever, ever. That brings to mind also, speaking of passports for everyone, some people don't realize this. This has happened actually to someone that came down on one of our tours. They realized it just in the nick of time, but they had to get their new passports because if your passport, even let's say you're coming down to visit for 10 days, if your passport expires within 6 months of your flight, you can't. And that's true for most countries, not just Colombia. You won't be allowed in. So make sure that your passport has plenty of time on it. And I'm a big believer that if you do decide to move to a foreign country, gosh, a new passport is good for 10 years. So let's say your passport is expiring in 2 years. Go ahead and get a new one before you move. I really believe in, and maybe that's a little bit of my silver spoon. Yes, it's going to cost you just a wee bit extra because you're getting it a little early. And yes, there are people that will help you get your US passport while you're here, like Huli, but why bother and go through, any of that? Just, go ahead and give yourself 10 years and it's one less thing to have to worry about. Oh, okay, John. John is asking about investment institutions. If you're saying, I am working about to drive to my next site. Would you please tell us about two investment institutions you like there? Oh, you're asking about making investments. I used Alianza. Alianza, I use is a brokerage firm to move my US dollars to Colombia to purchase my condominium here. Because Colombia does not allow foreign currency to just come into the country without it being first checked. It has to go through the federal bank, which is a government banking institution that makes sure it's good money, clean money. And I like that actually, that they do that. So you have to use a service, usually if it's a larger sum of money, like purchasing property, then that's through a brokerage firm. But as far as getting returns on your money, I haven't looked into that as far as investing money in Colombia since oh gosh, a few months into moving here. I was very tempted because at the time, the interest rate on the like a typical money market type of account, very safe, like the safest that you can get type of thing, was 11%. And I was so excited about it. But what happens over the long term is that the Colombian peso in the long term, even though it goes a little bit like this, it does depreciate. And I still consider myself a US citizen, and I don't know if I'm ever going to go back. But I was actually watching, even though it was 11% and was growing in Colombian pesos, by the time I got to about 8 months, I was like, oh my gosh, because I do the conversion and it was like I was losing money. So I don't know much about investing here. I'm not the person to ask, but it was kind of a turnoff to me for that reason. But a lot of people do it. A lot of people come down, they open businesses. There are investment visas that you can get here, or an investment visa for a business or for buying a piece of property. Some people start Airbnbs and do really well, but I'm just not the person to ask all the details. But Alianza was the company that I use, and they're also a brokerage firm and highly rated. Okay, Jeff says, thinking of remote work in El Retiro, something furnished, pet friendly, if you have recommendations. Okay, I'm glad so I assume you're asking about a rental, not about remote work. You're thinking about coming and working remotely and living in El Retiro. I want everybody to know this. I'm so glad this came up today, and I will be doing a video on this as far as renting in Colombia, very similar to going to a country like Mexico. A lot of what you will find as far as what's available, you have to find while you're here. Colombia is not big on using websites. They don't have an MLS system. As progressive, for those of you who have watched my videos and you look at the infrastructure, the roadways, just absolutely everything is so state of the art and amazing here. But the real estate market, rentals included, is so old fashioned and so word of mouth. So what I tell everyone to do, if they visited and then they decide that, yep, they're coming here and they want to live here, well, then they need to come back again and to secure the rental. Or what some people do is come back, rent an Airbnb like longer term until they find the right place, because you're going to have to go in person and look. The agencies have very little. They're more for working class Colombians. They're kind of in downtown areas. As far as what's available in areas like where I live, you're not going to see that there's a couple of rental agency sites here. You're not going to see that. So it's very important to be here in person. And for those that work directly with Huli, either do a tour or have her help with the visa, she has connections for all of that, of people that specialize in rentals and that type of thing. But I know a lot of expats here who, in addition to networking as best they could, they went to the guard gates of every community and checked in like once a week. Hey, is there anything here? Because the guards will know too. So it does. That is one thing about Colombia. If you make the decision, you love it. And I made the decision. It was well worth it. I had to look. I knew I wanted to buy. I knew I had to come down. I came a couple of times and I looked on the ground with tons and tons of direct owner sales that I found out through word of mouth and also through a number of different agencies. So it does take an effort, but once you have that secured, it's well worth it. I will also mention that long-term rentals here are usually not furnished. Airbnbs are, and you can rent them 30 days, 60 days, whatever. But if you're looking for annual leases, most likely, I mean, there are exceptions. I know of a couple in my community that are available right now that happen to be furnished, but most of the time they're not. So that's just a good heads up for everyone. Andre says he was held up with Alianza. He got stuck on the passport. It didn't accept his. Uh, Are you trying to just sign up with them online? I ended up calling their toll-free number from Florida, and I was assigned an agent who was 100% fluent in English, and she helped me every step of the way. Over the phone, emails, everything. I had no problem at all. So if you're just trying to do it through their website, which by the way is all in Spanish, so when you go on Chrome, for instance, and get it translated, it may not translate accurately because that's done through the browser. So my suggestion, Andre, would be to be assigned an agent there that speaks English and have them walk you through, because mine did. I had to do fingerprint. I had to do all these things, and every step of the way, she told me what to do. So it was a very smooth process for me. Oh, not to worry about being a little late, Daniel, because I talk for hours. It's just I'm probably not gonna be finished till like 2:30 or so, maybe 3. Jeff is saying, "Oh, I would pay for you and Julie's help." You don't need to pay. I mean, I do great consults as far as, I can't in a chat like this on a live really ask a lot of personal questions of the people who are asking questions here. I can dive really deep on my consults, but when it comes to specifics like your visa, driver's license, any of that bureaucratic type of stuff, Huli is the one to do a consult with, and I highly recommend her. Her fees for doing visa are comparable, if not a little bit less, than all the visa agencies here in Colombia and even the attorney's offices. And then she also not only gets your visa for you, but she also gets your cedula for you, and that's your government ID, which is a very important thing to have, because after you have your cedula, then you can open up a bank account here. You can have your utilities in your name, all these things, very important ID to have in Colombia. Oh, and your health insurance too. It entitles you to the government health insurance. So very important to get, but her service includes all of that. And by the way, the links for consult with me or with Huli are on every video. If you just go down in the description, you'll see a link. And for anyone who is coming down to visit, we do great relocation tours. I don't do them personally anymore, but Huli does, and she also has a concierge team of 2 different people who are just as excellent as she is that do the relocation tours. And they're private. You get to see whether it's the Medellín tour or it's the Eastern Antioquia tour, which is where I am, and Huli is. You really get to know the ins and outs of every single pueblo in the area, lifestyle. We talk to you before you come down and really get to know you. So that way we know the areas that we're going to show you so you can see how good a fit Colombia would be for you. So that's basically everything that's in the description below each video. Andre, yeah, you tried with Allianz to set up online. No, just call them and get assigned a account agent or something like that. And do keep in mind that they're also investment broker, people that work for the company. So they're going to be offering you other things, but you can say no. Like I told you, I tried the investment thing and I ended up pulling my money out of that long after I bought my place, but that's how it worked out. Nancy says, what is Alianza? We'll just put it in Google, Alianza Colombia. That's how you move larger sums of money. There is, I can't remember the other company, something Valorous, and I'm so sorry because I'm having a brain freeze, but there's two big agencies. Also, Ban Colombia, the big bank, does as well. I just don't think that I don't know if they have English speaking agents, but that's why I use Alianza. So yeah, you can just Google them, but I would just call them on your WhatsApp number. Just give them a call and get assigned a professional to help you with all the steps. Azul is saying, I will not recommending buying property. If something happens, your family in the USA will go through a lot to sell it. I've already talked to my family. I'm not worried about it at all. I also got a will here, so that the laws are basically the same here. There's a probate period. So it makes it much easier to have a will in place in Colombia. And no, once probate's gone through, they own, they're in my will. They'll own my condo. And I live in an area with enormous uh, real estate market. I mean, it's huge. The amount of building going on here. I would not have bought here if it wasn't the way that it was. So I have absolutely no qualms about them being able to sell my place in the event of my death. I'm not worried about it. Oh, thank you. Somebody just gave me 19.99. I'm so bad at this. I can't see who it is. George, thank you, George. That's so sweet of you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I don't understand. Jeff is saying you need to have an office. I don't know what you mean by that. Hi, Michael Meyer from Los Angeles. Michael has a very good question. How long would you suggest a person lives in a city? So you're just saying in general. So Medellin, for instance, or it could be smaller city, Rio Negro, out where I am. How long would you suggest before buying? I think it's up to the individual. I'm very clear minded what I like and what I don't like. I had already come down and visited it a couple times. I was blown away. I fell in love with the area. And I was at the point in my life where I had been literally bleeding my savings, just trying to figure out a different lifestyle so I would not have to continue working in the United States, which of course proved futile. So I was ready not to have I didn't want a rent payment. I wanted the lowest bills I could possibly have. And for those of you who have watched, my cost of living videos, you'll see my electric's less than 30 a month, my gas is like 5 a month, my internet's 22 or something like that a month, and it's fiber optic. So that's basically it for my bills. It's very, very inexpensive here. So that was a driving force for me. And that's what made me happy. Like some people would want that are unsure. Yes, absolutely. If you're not sure of where you want to live, then you should not buy right away. I'm glad I did because my condo has appreciated so much since I bought it about a little over a year ago now. No, year and a half ago. So anyway, I'm glad I did what I did, but it's up to the individual, and You really just have to have a keen sense of what you like and what you don't like, and you do wanna spend time prior in that area just to make sure that you like the lifestyle, you like the shopping, you like, the extra activities, whether it is you play tennis or you want an Olympic-sized pool, all those kinds of things. It's important to absorb all that and to constantly ask your questions during that research period. Be honest with yourself too. And there is a honeymoon period. This place is amazing. I mean, no one that has come down and done our tours, and we're we're doing a lot of them, has said that they didn't like it here. I mean, it's very easy to fall in love, but each little area has its subtle nuances. It's super important to figure out what it is that you want. There's country style, very country style living here. I happen to live in a planned condominium community, that's fairly, luxurious. It's a strata five, and but others might rather have like a tiny little place, down a country road. Everyone's different. So it's a matter of asking yourself that. When I was looking at properties, I saw some like that, and they were really easy to fall in love. Who wouldn't want, like a big yard and a gorgeous view and just envision yourself there? But I thought about other things, and I just thought, no, I think I'll be happier in a condo. So that's what I did. Yes, Kuliana, very important. Always, always come at least one time before you decide to move. I would suggest that if you don't come down like for a month, that you come down twice. And we get contacted all the time, people that are coming down for like 3 days and they want to see Medellin and El Oriente, where I am, which is only a little over half an hour away. But that's a lot of ground to cover in 3 days. And you have 2 travel days. I mean, you have to allow yourself enough time. This is a very serious decision for you. And you want as much information and to be able to research as much as you possibly can so you don't have hesitation. So yes, the more time that you can spend prior to making the decision, the better. I got a lot of information online from other YouTube channels. I also ruled out some countries from watching YouTube videos because there were things about what I saw that didn't appeal to me. And I saw it over and over again in a particular region of a particular country that I thought would be great. And I thought, nope, that's not for me. So again, it's asking yourself over and over again, not just, hey, do I like this, but hey, do I like this year round, like 365 days a year, except for, once or twice if you fly home or something. Yeah, I mean, that's a big, big difference. So you really have to spend the time and be honest with yourself. Oh, thank you, Dawn. She's recommending a consultation with me. That's so sweet. I really enjoyed talking to you too. Yeah, what happens in the consultation is you're able to tell me really all about yourself, and so we talk about everything, and honestly about budget, lifestyle. What are your questions? What are your apprehensions? What are your expectations? Like, what are your dreams? Those types of things. And then specifics too, which we haven't had very many super specific questions yet, but I will do my best when I get them to answer them. Yes, John's coming down next month, and you're going to be on tour with Huli. That's going to be great. Hi, Boink. Boink is mentioning that Colombia has many areas with eternal spring climate. I'm glad you brought that up. Colombia is very close to the equator. So basically, your climates vary because of elevation. So if you're on the coast, for instance, and you're at sea level, we're close enough to the equator, actually, even closer than Panama is. So it's very hot, very humid. And the arc of the sun it doesn't change like winter to summer like it does. You know how in the US, you can go up to Maine in the summer. It's, light out in the summer to like, I don't know, probably 10, maybe even 11 o'clock at night. The further south you get, the less differential there is. So here, close to the equator, we don't really have the seasons. The sun is pretty much the same all the time, and so is the weather. So the higher in elevation you go, the cooler the temperatures. Medellin is at 6,000 feet. It's comfortable, but it's got a heat dome, so most places need air conditioning there now. And then the Rio Negro El Retiro area, which is where I live, is at 7,000 feet. So it's a few degrees cooler here. And then I'm up that country road, which I told you guys, I'm more remote. So I'm 15 minutes up higher than El Retiro. And it's actually even a little cooler up here. So lots of little, I hate to say microclimates because the climate's not different. It's just a slight temperature difference. So you definitely want to be aware of it. But there are other areas that have this eternal spring in Colombia. I would not say that Bogota is. Bogota is more eternal fall. They're up even higher. So it can get nippy there, definitely. The Coffee Triangle, which includes places like Manizales, a very beautiful area. In fact, the train looks very similar to where I live. That's at about the same elevation. So that eternal spring is very typical there too. Oh, Daniel, I wish I knew the answer to this one. I wish Huli's traveling right now. She normally joins the live. Hmm. When you get a pensionado visa, that means retirement visa, is the spouse included? Um, yes, I know they can be. That's called a beneficiary. So in other words, if the husband is retirement age, but the wife is not, she can get a visa with the qualifications of her husband. That I know for a fact. Is there a separate process? Is it 2 times the cost? I don't know if Colombia, my guess is, and again, I'm not Huli, I'm not the expert. My guess is since each person is actually getting a visa, that those government fees are going to apply for each person, that it's a separate application, even though the second one is a beneficiary of the other. And just so you all know, the pensioner or investment visa, most of those run, the government fees usually run around $400 or $500. And then the extra fee for a visa agency, a lawyer, or Huli. Uh, she did mine for, well, they range in price between $800 and $1,000. And then, as I mentioned, with her, you get your cedula also. So they're all pretty much comparably priced. But that you have to expect. I mean, if you're moving to any country, I do not suggest that people do their own visa. I just don't. That's like a major, major move in your life. And do you really want complications or hiccups, or you find out you did something wrong, you have to leave and then wait, 6 months or a year and start the process all over again and come back? To me, that should be part of one's budget, to budget in that, and also the visa renewal. So it's only a 5-year process. Huli has 9 times out of 10 now can get people their 3-year. Usually it ranges between 1 and 3 years at a time, but she's been very, very successful this last year of getting her clients 3 years. So that means then you really only have to do it twice, as far as your renewal. So, but it's definitely well worth it to do it right, because you make any mistake, even midstream, even within those 5 years, if you make a mistake, then you're going to have to start from square one again. Can you imagine, like, you're in year 4 and then you make a boo-boo and then it's denied, and then you have to start at year 1 again? That would be awful. Yeah, Gordon, here's, I'm so glad you brought this up. Everyone's an individual. And that's the thing. You have to go by the beat of your own drum. So Gordon is saying, I'm happy just paying rent and being open to move around the country or around the world for now. Absolutely. So I mentioned where I was at. So that was my own personal thing. I was tired of bills. I wanted to be able to be comfortable not working, not have that pressure anymore, and keep my bills way down. And I had a huge sigh of relief when I did that. That was important to me. Now, Gordon has more of a nomadic type of barometer going on in his soul. So he likes the flexibility. He likes being able to rent. He likes to be able to travel the world. Absolutely. And more power to you, Gordon. And that's what you need to do is, again, just ask yourself if you want it to be more flexible. That's what a lot of people don't know what a digital nomad is. And by the way, in Colombia, that visa's for a year and you can only renew it one more time. The reason these younger people are called digital nomads is because they have to be nomadic. Most countries are not going to let you just come and live in their country unless you're hired by a company in that country. And oftentimes that country, the wages are so low that somebody's not going to be doing that. They have a job, nomadically, a US, type of job. But what they do is they have to move around. So yeah, they're going from what a great lifestyle. Gosh, if I was younger, I would really enjoy that. So anyway, to each his or her own, and that's what keeps the world fun and interesting. Okay, sorry. Somebody was just asking about my wet season. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad everybody brought this up. First and foremost, the region of Colombia that I'm in Antioquia, we're close to the equator. As I was saying, we don't have, summer heat, winter cold. The seasons are pretty much the same. We do not have a full-on like monsoon rainy season. Panama has one where it's just torrential every day for a month, and they actually have a season with really high wind just about every day. That's not the case in Medellín and my area of Eastern Antioquia. We do have 2 times of year that get more rain. So I'm going to let everybody know when that is. I'm in it right now, actually. That's October into the first half of November, those 6 weeks. And then the other time is April into the first half of May. And you can't hold me to it. It could be the third or fourth week of May, and you book for a week and every day is kind of gray and it's, a little rainy on and off. This is a mountain area and the weather is constantly changing. 2 days ago, it was bright blue and sunny. We're in the middle of October, which is our rainiest time. Today, well, I'll show you right now. I'm so bad at this. You're just gonna see out my window. My window's a little dirty right now, but this is very typical in October up where I am. So you can see it's bright, but the clouds are just going to constantly be moving. So right now I don't see any blue, but this morning there was a combination of blue and gray and puffy white clouds and this and that, just constantly moving. It didn't rain yesterday, didn't rain last night that I know of. I mean, it could have sometime overnight, and didn't rain at all yet today. But those crystal clear, bright blue skies every day, day after day after day, most likely not in October into the first week or so of November. But there'll be plenty of days with puffy white clouds and blue skies, and then it may rain. You may go somewhere and then you have a rainstorm, just like it could be anywhere in the world. But it happens more often then. So again, not a monsoon. But what I do tell people in the consults and those who are coming down and doing a tour or visiting on their own, if you're coming for, let's say, a week or 10 days and you're retired, like, don't book it in October or the first part of November, and don't book it in April or the first part of May. Why? Because, I mean, if you want pretty much be guaranteed just about every day is crystal clear blue skies with periodic rain. It's very, very green here, so you will get rain. But I can tell you, and I can tell you my scientific approach to this, which sadly I have to bring up little Petunia, who I miss terribly. She was my little dog, and she passed away recently, but she was here with me well over a year and a half. And I can tell you that I think in a year and a half that I walked her with an umbrella maybe twice in my community. And the reason is she was little Miss Priss, and she didn't like the rain, and she wouldn't want to go, and do her business in the rain. So if it was raining, I would wait. And probably the longest I would have to wait was 2 or 3 hours, and it would be over. And then I could take her out. So I never experienced like where it's literally like raining all day and all night. Just those days are very, very rare here. So I think it's a super ideal climate, and I'm not big on a desert type climate. I don't like the vegetation when it's super arid. I love green, and it does take some rain, right, to have it so green here. So that's how the seasons work here. Okay. Gosh, some of these names are hard. I'm just going to call you Evo. Hi, Evo. Might there be a way to research to get a sense of what the community is like there? Is there a Facebook group where people interact? Community values and personality are important. There are Facebook groups. There are tons of them in Medellin, and they're very specific. And Medellin means that there are people out where I am that belong also. So expats over 50 in Medellin. There's solo female expats in Medellin. There's another group which I like, which is Medellin for non-jerks. There are these passport bro guys who come to Medellin that come down to party and stuff. So I guess they're just that group. That's a huge group too. It just doesn't want people coming down looking for hot chicks and stuff, asking questions like that in their group. So I enjoyed that group. And then there is a group out where I am. And it gets closed off from time to time. The administrator is wonderful, but she keeps it pretty private. And she had to once my channel exploded, and people know I live in El Retiro. So she didn't want an explosive amount of people that didn't live here just coming in every single day with 10, 15 questions. There is, everyone, just so you know, an etiquette with Facebook groups. And I learned this back when I did van life, that when you join a Facebook group, when you have questions, before you ask a question, you should use the little magnifying glass in the group, the search box. Search your question first. Be really good with your keywords, and you can find where it's been answered. Most of these questions that you have been answered. Mostly, though, what I want to tell everyone is please, please remember that these are lay people. And some of them will gladly answer visa questions, money questions, really important things. But just be careful with that, because again, you're not asking a professional. But I found out about the Charles Schwab card in the Medellin for Non-Jerks group. I'm pretty sure it was that group, or the expats over 50 in Medellin. Yeah, that's how I found out. And what made me realize how good it was then when I put in that name specifically after I found out about it into the groups. Everyone was using it and just saying, "Oh, it's amazing, blah 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 blah." That's what you need to get. So you can get a lot of information from that. But to answer your question, as far as just subtle nuances of an area, I would highly recommend that you talk to me personally in a video consult. I'm very in tune with each area, what it's like, what the general feel of the people is, whether or not you would be happy here. And I'm always super honest with people. For instance, if I speak to a young person, I'm very honest what it's like out here. It is quieter. I mean, there's wonderful restaurants and music and things like that, but it dies down by about 10 o'clock, maybe 11 at the latest. But most places, restaurants are, finished by 10. So it's quiet. Did you know too that El Retiro means the retirement? It means the retreat, but it also translates to the retirement. So it's not a bunch of old people. I don't want you all to think of that, and families and even some young people come out to this area from Medellin on the weekend. But it certainly isn't to party. But I can also answer in a consult subtle questions. Sometimes people, somebody might be gay and they want to know, how they would be accepted here, or of a particular race. All sorts of things. So I can be a big help with that. But all in all, this part, Colombia in general, but this part of Colombia, the paisa culture, is very, very welcoming and very open to anyone. There's no animosity towards expats. People are so worried right now, like we're not the people that lived here, but on my channel, I get a lot of questions, and in the consults, oh gosh, do they hate the foreigners? No, I'm absolutely loved and adored here, every expat that I know. And we are rare. I mean, it is so far away from being ruined by gentrification. And I just welcome everyone. Please just watch all of my videos and look around in the restaurant. Tell me how many, tourists, US people do you see. It is so rare. No, I'm not worried about that in the least. Boink is saying October, November, December are the 3 months of the rainy season. I'm gonna correct you, Boink, October into the first half of November, maybe the second half has a little bit more rain, but December, no. So it's October through the middle of November and April through the middle of May, and it's not the worst. I mean, it doesn't bother me, like, in the least. It's not a monsoon or anything. There's just rain a little more often than, but I wouldn't plan a trip if I were traveling and it was my first time or second time coming here, and it was a relocation visit or a vacation. Just like, in Hawaii, I didn't know. I used to live in California for many years, and the first time I went there, I didn't know, and I can't remember. I think it's January. It's and every single day it was torrential, like morning, noon, and night. Like you couldn't even walk out to a car without getting soaked. You needed an umbrella. There are certain places that are like that. It's not like that here, but I wouldn't want to if I was coming here on vacation for, what if I'm here for a week and every day is kind of gray? That's not nice. Oh, George is asking any hurricanes. No, we're way below the hurricane area, even the coast of South America. Colombia is on the northern coast of the Caribbean. And that's true in the very southern part of the Caribbean, like Trinidad, Tobago, Bonaire, those islands, they're low. I think it's rare for a hurricane even to hit Barbados. I think maybe they have, but I don't know. We'd have to look that one up. But that's even further north. So nope, outside of the hurricane zone. Boink is saying June, July, August are the dry season, but I'm going to correct you, Boink, that no. I mean, to me, I think June, July, August, January, February, and March, very little rain. Almost every day it's clear blue sky, and plus um, June, July, August, and September too. September's fine. Um, Eric says, question about your silver spoon. What are some of your favorite bougie places to go in Antioquia when you're feeling spendy? Oh, um, I've actually shown quite a few in my videos. And one was a club that I joined, and I was able to join it for only $30 a month. because of the community that I live in, we're able to get joint membership with 4 other people and split the cost. It's called Hacienda Fizebad, Fizebad. And it is a plantation, originally a plantation. It's gorgeous. They have horses and stables, amazing riding arenas, 2 phenomenal restaurants, golf. There is so much bougie here. I can't even begin to tell you how many places there are here. And so an expensive restaurant, I'll give you an example. And I'm on a budget. Food isn't that like super important to me, but if you go to a really fine like Angus beef type of steakhouse, very, very high end, that would be probably your entree would be probably, let's say you got, I don't know, filet mignon or New York strip, would probably at the most be like $18, something like that, with, your vegetable, potato, that type of thing. Whereas I have no idea what that be in the US, like at a Ruth Chris steakhouse or something, it's probably like $80 or something. So, but there's tons and tons of restaurants that I can recommend. If you'd like to reach out to me, Eric, I can let you know. But there are plenty of places. And one of my videos, I didn't know it. I didn't know it. And I was with Johan. He drove me into Medellin to do to help me with Petunia when I was doing a video of a mall there. And I heard about this place on the way. It's this shopping plaza, and the restaurant was really full. So we thought it'd be really good. It's a Michelin chef there. So the bill was like to take Johan to lunch was like $85 for lunch. I was like, oh my God. So, but those places are intermixed. Literally just right down the road is a place that I go for menu de dia, which means you get soup, big tall glass of juice, and then whatever the entree, vegetable, carb, salad is for the day, for like $5, all of that. So that's the gamut that you have here, just about any type of price point that you want. But even the highest end is going to be a fraction of the cost what super high-end luxury would cost in the US or Canada. Okay, Dawn has a question about mobility issues. I'm just going to take a quick little drink so you can chat amongst yourselves. I've mentioned that in the last live. I remember that Mike Myers skit that he would do on SNL, where he played this woman in Long Island that was in love with Barbara Streisand and coined the term "butta." She's like "butta," but he would say something like "oh, klatempt" or one of those Yiddish words, and just say like "I need a moment," and then go talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, Dawn is asking about infrastructure. Yes, there are areas that are more accessible than others. In my region, I'm out in the countryside, and the pueblos themselves are historic. Llano Grande, which is a section of Rio Negro, is all new, way more accessible. So you could have a life there, and just about everywhere you go for shopping and whatnot is going to be fine. And condos will all have, be newer. They'll all have elevators, that type of thing. So it wouldn't be a problem. Medellin is mixed. The biggest deal with Medellin is how mountainous it is. A lot of these neighborhoods they built so that these condo buildings, these high rises, would have views. So you're walking, it's like in San Francisco. I mean, just crazy hills and things. But there are neighborhoods like Laureles and Vigado where it's flatter. But if you're in older neighborhoods, in my area, for instance, El Retiro is an amazingly charming historic pueblo. Just about every pueblo in Colombia. And this is true in many countries. And I don't know what the reason for it is. I think it's literally before there was plumbing and things, that when streets were built, people, like, you see it like in like historic movies and stuff, where people will take their like bucket of dishwater and stuff and just like throw it out in the street. And so people stoops, if you will. So you're walking along this narrow sidewalk, and then the stoop for each of these, casitas, each of these little houses along the way, or the shops, will be a big giant step up. I have a bad knee. So if I see a big giant stoop coming, I go into the cobblestone part of the street. There are some streets where it's just up and down, up and down. And you'll see most of the people are kind of walking on the edge of the street in the cobblestone area. But because that would be no problem with the wheelchair. Probably not the safest thing in the world. I mean, people don't go zooming down the street, but you would definitely have to go down the cobblestones. But I'm bringing these up because if you're in a walker or a cane, the ground isn't always going to be even. Because of these, old slate stone or, big rock type of stone roads, that were built a couple hundred years ago. But feel free to, if you do a consult with me, I can tell you, more details about areas and also give you information. You can Google, or not Google, but do a search on YouTube for accessibility in Colombia. And there are, in fact, one of the channels is Juli's cousin, and she has a disability, and she travels around Colombia and talks about, places that are more accessible than others. It's all in Spanish though, but those YouTube videos can be really helpful as well. Okay, I just tapped and I didn't see who asked. That Santa Marta, okay, yeah, that's up on the coast, and that's at sea level, is eternal summer, yes. So it's gonna be eternal weather-wise, no matter where you live in Colombia, because again, we don't have seasons, we're very close to the equator, so we don't have that change in the arc of the sun, it's staying the same year-round. So you're at sea level, a low elevation, and you're close to the equator, it's going to be hot, and also, if you're in a beach area, it's that combination like Florida is in the summer, you're going to have a year round on the coast of Colombia, that heat with the humidity, that, kind of soupy air. But again, that's individual. Like I know someone that moved to the Yucatan Peninsula. Merida is very popular with expats, but it is hot and humid there. There's a little bit of relief in the winter because it's not as close to the equator, but it's a hot and humid place. You gotta love that, to live in a place like that. Aw. Ing is asking me, "How are you feeling about Petunia?" If you don't mind my asking. So it's been, gosh, I think close to a month now. I'm getting better. I have my moments. Very, very hard, She was 16 years old, and it didn't show in my videos, but she had a heart condition, and something that couldn't be corrected. In fact, even at a young age, it couldn't be. It's not surgically correctable. So things were slowly getting harder for her, and she was getting more and more nervous all the time. And that's why, if you notice, there was a period right before she passed away for a couple of months where I had either Johan or Huli with me on every video. And that was because she was always glued to me. I mean, like completely my shadow and addicted to me. But she became very nervous, and just like my kids were when they were toddlers. She had a bit of dementia, and she would not like it if I was like, shooting with my camera or on the phone a lot, that kind of thing. So she would get upset and nervous and that sort of thing. But all in all, she, even all the way up to end, I mean, she just enjoyed her life so much, and she loved going on the outings. As long as I wasn't filming, And we were walking and exploring, and that's what she loved to do. Just loved her life to the fullest. So I really, really miss her, and particularly hits hard for someone that's living solo because then your home is very, very quiet. But I've been keeping busy. That has helped me a whole lot. So, but thank you for asking. Hmm. Evo is saying, paisa, but raised in the US, and I'm probably saying it wrong. It's either paisa or paisa. Those are the people of this region, of this state of Antioquia, in Colombia, who are amazing. It's an amazing subculture within the culture. Um, but you're saying that you're nervous that El Retiro is full of affluent paisas who are maybe a bit conservative and materialistic. I will set up a consult. Don't like keeping up with the Joneses. Okay. So I look that way. Listen, my dad grew up in the Depression and self-made, and he always enjoyed dressing nicely. I had a live today, so I put something nice on, nice earrings. I normally am out in like, I don't know, like running pants and like a golf shirt or something, even a long sleeve t-shirt. I wear t-shirts a lot. I'm not a dressed up, type of person. But when I have an occasion to, I like to. So I dress up today. But I see some people like that, to answer your question, but the majority no. And I'm going to stand up for the Colombians right now that do have money compared to the majority of people in Colombia, and that would be in my strata 5 community. I don't have any keep up with the Joneses type people. There's some people that are just super cash, sweatpants and t-shirts. One of my neighbors, his wife is beautiful shoes, beautiful bags. She dresses up every day, but she's great friends with me and another neighbor, and we're just totally cashed out every day. It's very. I've done a video, the 11 habits that I noticed of Colombian people living here, and I urge you to watch that. I can't remember who asked that question. Oh, Evo. And I have not experienced any snobbery, any keep up with the Joneses, anything like that. I know that there's like a private golf club in Llano Grande, that maybe is very exclusive, that type of thing. But I listen, I grew up in Palm Beach, Florida, so I know what that can be like, and I haven't experienced anything like that here as far as snobbery goes. Okay, Al Rod is stating that the apartments in El Retiro, the condos are going up in price. Absolutely. And, I'm glad that I bought and didn't wait and rent. And I would say the same thing is good for people now. The one thing that I want to point out, and that's why our tours that Holy puts together are so important for people. This area has a variety of nooks and crannies and places where you can live. Because even though I'm in a strata 5, I'm up another 1,000 feet. My apartment would rent for about $1,000 a month, which I don't. You guys have seen it. It's like $1 million view. It's amazing. Gated community, all the 9 yards. I consider that very inexpensive compared to something comparable in the U.S. As far as buying, you probably could have bought in the General Pueblo and outer lining hills around El Retiro itself. You could have bought 2 years ago, around 150,000 is probably more like 200,000. But That's just that one specific little ring of an area around that pueblo, and I don't even live there. So that's where we take you on our tours. There are so many different places. There's Gualanday, San Antonio, which I've gone to, El Carmen, La Ceja, all of this these are all part of basically two, actually three counties, but they all just sort of interjoin. So you're within one or the other within a 30-minute drive always. So there are places where you can rent that are nice. They're not going to look like mine with the panoramic view, but you can rent for 500 and be safe and be nice and close to a cute pueblo and wonderful places to shop and things like that. And you can buy for 150,000 still a really nice apartment. But it's if you're looking, this is the problem. Most people look, especially when they see my video, they see El Retiro specifically, and then they go on a website and they're looking only right by that pueblo, and that's what they're seeing. So that's why it's good to work with people that know the area and understand that. But everywhere is going up, and that's true anywhere pretty much in Colombia right now because it's just grown such leaps and bounds and is such a desirable place to be. And it has nothing to do with expats. I just say this all the time. My area is booming because Colombia is doing so well, because more and more Colombians now have amazing jobs, university degrees, and are successful. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And I'm happy that they can have a nice lifestyle. So I could have been out in the country even more than the areas I just mentioned. I mean, there are people with less that can live in Colombia with less than $1,000 a month Social Security. You can, but you're going to be in a more remote area. It's not going to have all these, all the places I take you on my videos. I mean, you can see the amount of cultural activities and amazing restaurants from all, cuisines all over the world, like all the stuff right here. Well, that's because there are um, people that are interested in that here. And that generally tends to be people that have had more progressive type of careers that have higher level education, that type of thing. But I I love this area because I don't know of any place in the United States where you could have a lifestyle like this anywhere close to as low as what it costs here. So it's all relative. Oh, Ing is asking if my adult children and my grandchild, who's a teenager now, have visited me yet. And, yes, they will, but unfortunately, their dad, who I'm not married to anymore, has been quite ill, since I moved here. So, they're helping him and taking care of him and that sort of thing. So I've been going back there, and for that reason too. So, but they will. They'll be able to get down here at some point, for sure. John is saying that Cartagena sounds like the most expensive city out of the major cities. To me, Cartagena, and I haven't been there yet, is a tourist. The reason it's expensive, it's a beach city. It has an enormous amount of tourism. It's generally most expats don't choose to live there. They'll live in like Santa Marta, some of the other small cities and towns on the northern coast that has beaches and all of that. But Cartagena is a lot of Colombians go there on vacation. It's like you go to the beach, you want to, live on Miami Beach, that type of thing, or go and visit there. It's going to be more expensive than if you go somewhere in the middle of the state in Georgia. It's just a highly tourist area, so that drives the prices up there. Yeah, just keep in mind everybody's talking about, Santa Marta. You have to love, heat and humidity, and some people do. I mean, I think part of it for me was, I grew up in Florida. We left every summer because my parents didn't like the heat and humidity, so I got, kind of accustomed to that, and then I moved back to Florida to raise my children, and, I have found that in Florida, the summers just keep getting longer and longer and longer, and now the good weather is generally only, December, January, February, and March. Even by April, it's starting to get super hot and humid now. So, I'd been there, done that, done the beach thing, all the heat and humidity, and so again, like I said earlier, you got to listen to your own soul. Like, what's your calling? Like, what is it that's gonna make you happy? And not on, like, a vacation level, but on living full-time level. Like, I like so many different things. I have super eclectic tastes. Like, right now, I'm in super contemporary, modern-looking apartment. But gosh, I would fall in love with, let's say, in Maine, like, an on Golden Pond, like, log cabiny with this little dock and the in the pond, and I would go canoeing every day. But I wouldn't want that 365 days a year. I would go stir crazy. So, those are the questions to ask where I can, other than, a little bit of traveling here and there, I can be in this environment that I chose, full time and not get stir crazy or, feel, too remote, that type of thing. Hi, Raquel. Raquel and her husband are visiting, Medellin. Fantastic. From New York. Wow. They have some similarities, but I'm sure you're astounded with how green it is in Medellin. The amount of parks and the foliage, and a lot of the high rises, like, literally have, like, cascading plants down the sides of them and everything. It's so lush and beautiful. Really pretty city. Robert, hi. Robert's asking if there are any other documents required outside of a tourist visa to enter Colombia. No. And there aren't shots either unless there's, I don't again, don't hold me to it, one of those fever ones like yellow fever or something. If you're going down in the Amazon, which is the southern part of the country, it's like the jungle, which most people don't even travel to. But no, so there's no shot requirements. You just need your passport, but make sure that your passport is not expiring within 6 months of your travel, or you will not be allowed to fly on any airline. Okay. Trao, I can't see your name, I'm so sorry. I'll just call you Pix BC, is asking, could someone with a monthly passive income of $1,500, are you talking dollars or pesos? Like, a monthly passive income of $15,000 live well in Colombia? Oh my gosh, you'd be like a gazillionaire. $15,000 a month? Yes. I mean, it'd be wasteful. Should probably be taking, no, you don't need anywhere near that to have an amazing lifestyle here. Absolutely. No, Ing, I have not been to Bogota yet, because Petunia, my little dog, had medical issues. Really, from when we first, right before we first came here and stuff, I had to be careful. I didn't want to fly with her. So I have not visited Bogota yet, but I plan to. And I'll probably wait until I have somebody that will go with me. This is a big city and whatnot. I don't particularly feel like going there by myself. But I know there's just so many cultural venues there, great museums, wonderful theater, music, all of that. Absolutely, I do intend to go there. Hi, Al. Oh, this is a good question. Okay. El Retiro checks off many of my boxes, he says. I find Rio Negro too big and surrounding Pueblos nice, but don't tick all the boxes like El Retiro. You got to see it. I mean, I don't know, Al, have you been here and seen it? Because it's kind of it's you there's so many subtle nuances and the areas bleed into one another. So there is such a difference. Like I'm not actually in the Pueblo of El Retiro, and I don't state exactly where I live for safety reasons on the internet. But no, that's not true. Rio Negro downtown has a little bit of a city feel, and that's where locals live. And if you need to go to, the county clerk type of things or get your driver's license, that kind of thing, you have to go there. But I don't spend any time there at all. And Llano Grande is super nice. And then there's the community of Gualandai, which is, these are all just neighborhoods, nowhere near the downtown part of Rio Negro. And that Gualandai bleeds into San Antonio. There's great spots all throughout there, and it's not big at all. San Antonio is a quaint, adorable pueblo area. So you just have to get to know the region. It's hard. You can't say just a blanket statement. It's like, so I'm originally from Florida, and it'd be like saying, oh, I hear that Delray Beach is so much better than Pompano Beach. Well, depends upon where you go in Delray Beach or where you go in Pompano Beach or where you go in Boca Raton or Palm Beach or Fort Lauderdale or all the gazillion. There's so many little neighborhoods all up and down there. So you can't think like a blanket by just the name of a place because it encompasses such an intermingling, intertwine or whatever of all these other little suburbs and areas. You have to see it and actually walk it and drive through it and get the feel of what you like and don't. But I tell people all the time in my consults, don't think you only want to live in El Retiro. I'm telling you that's gorgeous. I mean, I love videoing it. It's beautiful, that Pueblo, but most people don't live in the Pueblo. That's all inhabited. Up top, those are usually the owners of the businesses, of the restaurant, family, generations live in the Pueblo itself. And so all around, but there are, if what you're after is exclusive and incredible, oh my gosh, it's not just the surrounding hillside around El Retiro. It's all over the place. There are neighborhoods just like that. So got to stay open-minded with all that and just come and get a feel for the area. Oh, Donna is saying that I mentioned that someone with $1,000 Social Security can live here. So certainly she's telling Pix BC that 15,000 would be amazing. But keep in mind, I said 1,000, but not right where I am. Mm-mm. I wouldn't say it's just too tight. Uh, Even if you're in the less expensive neighborhoods, because this is something I think I brought up in a video. It's so important for people to understand that because I'm living on less than my Social Security, and it was really important for me. I had to. But I made sure I had that cushion. So, and I was fortunate because I was able to buy my apartment that I don't spend anywhere near my Social Security every month because it's so inexpensive to live here. And that gives me comfort because then I have a nest egg. So there is inflation, guys, all over the world. And it's constant. It's just a fact of life. So to think that you're going to be able to move right now and live till the day you die somewhere and just be like on this budget like this, and you're always going to be okay. No, you have to, put it away for a rainy day. You have to be able to withstand that slight bit of inflation. There are fluctuations in the peso and dollar values. It's generally around 4. We recently had a dip. I think right now it's like 3.9. It goes like this, but you can encounter a dip. And so for a month, you're going to the grocery store and everything, feels like, because you're spending US income, your Social Security, it feels like it's, 10, 15% more. There are other times where it seems like it's 10 or 15% less because you're getting more than, the 4.0. So you've got to be able to withstand all that. And I've mentioned this before, very important that you don't move out of your country unless you have, and I hate this term, escape plan, because it sounds like there's going to be a nuclear bomb or something. But no, but I mean, it's if you don't like it or you want to move, whatever the case may be, you have to have enough put away so that the whole point of you moving in the first place is release yourself of all this pressure, of all this financial pressure and everything. But why put yourself through that? To have absolutely no nest egg, no savings, and no way to leave or reinvent your life or anything. No, save up for it. And there are things that people do. I've talked to people that don't have, what I would consider enough, put away so that they could move and go live somewhere else. And I've said, well, maybe there is something you can do for, let's say, a year. Go back to work full time, go live with one of your children, do what maybe they did when they first graduated from college, go live with mom and dad, free rent. Go do that, put all that money away, and then move to another country. So make sure that you plan it wisely, but don't set yourself up in a situation where your budget is exactly or a hair under exactly what your income is, because stuff can happen in life. You want to have that comfort level there too. Oh, thank you, Andre. Yeah, if you're going to the Amazon, which most people don't, it's in the southern part of Colombia, you need a yellow fever shot, but that's not necessary for this area. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah. But if you come to the majority of Colombia, there's no shots required, and you just come with your passport for visiting, for a tourist visa. Okay, Lewis is asking me personally, what type of M visa did I do, the retirement or the investor? Well, because I happen to be somebody that bought, relatively right away after visiting twice, I went ahead and did the investor one, but it really doesn't give me any advantages. And one thing that I do have to say about doing an investor visa is that you have to be very, very careful that the amount that you invest, it may fall within the qualifications of the visa. So again, so let's say you can't collect Social Security yet, then you're not going to get a pensioner visa in Colombia. It has to be either a pension, a private pension, or Social Security, or you're not allowed in. So let's say it's somebody that's 59, 60 years old, they're going to have to go the route of the investor visa. And so let's say right now it's, you've got to spend a minimum. I don't know what it is. I'm just saying off the cuff. So let's say it's 140,000 or something in order to qualify. Well, that qualification has to last for the 5 years that you're doing your initial visa process prior to residency. When it comes time to get your residency at the end of the 5 years, if inflation, which it does happen, increases the minimum wage in Colombia, that's how it's calculated, then it's possible that your investment, if you bought really close to what that minimum was, it's most likely you're not going to qualify. In fact, there was a gentleman that he was on a video that had like hundreds of thousands of views. It was because he made a mistake, oh my gosh, in Colombia, and he bought, but he didn't say that. He made it sound like it was Colombia's fault, but that's not the truth. It's just that you have to be able to qualify, and you can't buy something else. So you can't, let's say you bought for 140, and then by the time it's the end of the 5 years, it's up to 180 or something. You can't then you can't then just go and buy a storage facility unit or something to come up with the difference. No, it's based on your initial investment. So again, guys, this is why it's so important to make sure you have an expert, someone like Huli, at your side, from the get-go that's going to be able to help you with all these major decisions and these bureaucracies and things so you don't make mistakes because people all the time, and it's not true just in Colombia. I mean, I've known expats all my life that have made boo-boos and like major ones. Can you imagine buying a home and then you're not even allowed to go to be in it more than what is it, 2 9, so 6 months a year, you can't even go to it because you messed up your visa qualification. And then well, it's not that you can't, but you have to start from scratch and do a different type of visa. And you got to go through the 5 years again. There's just all sorts of mistakes that people make because they don't hire a professional. Okay, you guys can talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I'm going to take a little drink break again. My ice water. You all have really good questions today. I really appreciate it. And this is 2 servings. This is from my favorite store called D1. I like it better than Ara. People say it's not like Trader Joe's. Well, the one in my area, I think it's like Trader Joe's because they have like the best snack food. These are cashews and it's a good size. They say there's 2 servings, but there's way more than 2 servings in here. And it costs this huge, not huge, but decent sized bag of cashews is $1.50. So I'm just taking a little break here. So I'll show you the size of them. You see they're nice, big. So bad at this. So bad at this. Anyway, nice big cashews. I love that store. So I'm waiting for some more questions to come in. Whoever's just tuning in now is going to be thinking, who's this crazy lady just showing food? That's not alive. Like, what is she doing? This is my other favorite thing at D1. These are all different. They're chips, but I looked up the ingredients. They're in a, they're just simply cooked in canola oil and salt. There's no other additives. This is again from D1. I want to show you guys these. I'm not going to eat one because they're really loud. They're so crunchy. So you got like, they're so good. And this is a big bag. It's not like it's meant, I think, it says 2 servings. So it's a decent size. But they have like a sweet potato. Look at these things. And they're lightly salted. And then, I hope you guys are enjoying this. And then like, I don't even know what kind. I think there might be, yeah, there's yucca. Those of you who speak Spanish can tell me what these things are. There's batata, yucca, aracacha. Those are the 3 types of potatoes. But yeah, I wish I could eat one right now. This one's really pretty. This one's like kind of a multicolor one. They're so good. Oh my gosh. I love these chips. And they're not made like with one of those bad oils. So as far as the snacks go. And then this is my other favorite thing I have every morning. This is got a decent amount of granola in it. 3, 5, and then a little 0 grams. I don't even know what that means. It's heavy, but it's granola, again, all healthy ingredients. Granola, and there's raisins in there and some other fruit. And there's these coconut, like these toasted coconut chips. But I have just a small amount of this. These bags last me a long time. In the morning with plain yogurt, and then oftentimes, because there's a lot of berries here in this part of Colombia, the most delicious, like blueberries and blackberries and things, so inexpensive. I mean, you get a big giant container for like a couple dollars. It'd probably be I don't know, $7 or $8 in the US. But I have that or with some banana on it with the yogurt almost every morning. But sometimes I make eggs. The eggs here are amazing. I forgot what eggs tasted like. The eggs have a flavor. I don't know if anybody remembers. Like the yolk is here is a very rich, almost an orange color, and so creamy, like entirely different. And the same thing with the berries. Like I forgot what fruit and things tasted like. A lot of produce has no flavor anymore in the U.S. And I think it's just maybe because it's greenhouse grown or genetically just hybrided to grow fast or whatever the things are. One thing I was thinking of was, oh, the produce is going to last so much longer because it's so fresh, but it's actually the opposite. Because it's so fresh and it's not genetically produced to last forever, like and go on these trucks and go everywhere. When you buy the local produce, you pretty much have to eat it within the first few days because it just doesn't last. But I just shop for my produce about every 3 days, so I don't buy huge amounts at a time. There are certain things like oranges, apples. I love like red cabbage, things like that. That'll last a really long time in the refrigerator. But other things, especially greens and stuff like that, they'll go uh, they'll go bad pretty fast. Okay, let's see if we have some more questions. Sorry, I have to zoom in to be able to read without, like, putting my face all the way up to my laptop here. So I'm just trying to see what everybody's been writing. Okay. Oh, Peter, Max. Hi, Peter. Oh, thank you so much for your contribution. That's so sweet. Peter and his lovely wife were down here on the tour. In fact, they were our first tour, our first private tour. I hope you're doing really well. Yeah, and I stay in touch with everybody that does the tours. Thank you so much, Peter. Great to see you. Okay, John is asking, have you ever seen or heard of any Spanish colonial houses or buildings with old world charm and character that have been renovated to live in or rent? Oh, they're everywhere. Yeah, I mean, there's the tile roof. There's especially out here in the countryside, there's tons of fincas, things like that. I was leaning towards what I got because I'm not handy. And I would have to have somebody, like literally living like on my property that I can't afford to take care of a place that was a store that type of thing. But no, there's Spanish colonial architecture all over the place. And in fact, this super modern design that you're seeing is probably only like about the last 15, maybe 20 years max here. So there's tons of even condominium complexes and definitely single family homes that have the Spanish tile floors, the Spanish tile roofs. There's a lot of wood here too. I have wood floors. You'll see in my apartment tour, but you'll see in a lot of the older homes. Well, they're even doing it in the modern homes too. The wood rafters, all of that type of thing. In fact, I recently filmed at this, I haven't shown it yet, at a furniture store that does all rustic furniture. And I'll be releasing that within the next couple weeks. You'll see these hardwood pieces that they make, everything from beds to dining room tables to just incredibly gorgeous. So a lot of natural materials here, but definitely a lot of that Spanish colonial. And there's stores that sell that. They're antique stores that have all those kinds of things here. Oh, Alrod, thank you. I appreciate you too. Okay, Daniel. Daniel has a visa question. Hi. Can the visa process be completed from Colombia while visiting on a tourist visa, or should you gather all the documents while in the US and go to a Colombian consulate? Absolutely no. Don't do it through a consulate. It will take anywhere from like 3 to 4 times the amount of time. Do not do anything there. You could do your FBI background check there, and have that's one less step you have to do from here, but even that can be done very easily from here. But no, you need to be in the country. It only takes about 2 months. Hire an expert. I, of course, believe in Huli because she's done such a good job for me with everything and flawlessly. And yeah, you definitely want to do that here, but you don't want to do it when you just come down as a tourist, because there's some steps in that. Once you decide that this is going to be your home, then what you do is you move here, because remember, I told you you can stay up to 6 months here. It's not going to take you 6 months to get your visa once you're here. So you move here and you start that visa process when you get here. And well within that time, you're going to have that all set up. You're going to have your cedula, for your utilities in your name, bank account, that kind of thing. But you can exist on your US ATM card. Of course, I'm not paid by Schwab. It's just the best deal out there because it's free. Um, and their rates are really good. But yeah, I mean, you can live here for a really long time, just going to ATM and using, a card, because everywhere here accepts cards. But no, you do not want to start your visa process. That's true with some countries, that it actually is better and faster to do it from the US, but it's not the case with Colombia. Owen is saying that he thinks he'd really like El Carmen. I love El Carmen too. And I love El Retiro. I love all of the pueblos, actually. Yes, it has so much culture. There is so much culture here. I can't even get out there and film anywhere near all of it. El Carmen is actually its main focus is two things. It's known for its ceramics, which are very similar to kind of Portuguese hand-painted tiles and things. I did a video there. I mean, absolutely beautiful. But the other thing is its theater. There are either 2 or 3 live theaters there, that are known throughout the country. I mean, just amazing, and they have, visiting, performances that perform there as well. But pretty much each pueblo has its own cultural events and things like that, but El Carmen's a really, really cool place. But so is La Ceja, so is El Retiro, San Antonio. They all are wonderful, but there's a certain El Carmen has kind of a bohemian. It's sort of when you're walking around the little downtown area, it reminds me of Greenwich Village. There's like, you see guys with the man bun and, women with like the nose jewelry and just, it's just got that bohemian kind of a thing. More vegetarian restaurants and things that you would see in other places. Not that you don't see them everywhere, but yeah, it just has that kind of flavor. It's very cool. Yeah, Gordon said he and his wife got their, pensioner visa while on a tourist visa, and so did I. So I didn't do it while I was visiting, but I came down with the tourist visa once I decided to move here and, got it during that process, and that's what most people do, because if you start it in the US, in fact, Julie has told me that she's actually had to actually cancel it and start it again because people have been waiting, like, close to a year, and it still hasn't processed through their consulate in the US, so not a good thing. Oh, Robert is asking about cooking. I don't do much cooking because going out, is so inexpensive here, and I actually like a lot of cold things too, so when I'm at home, I make a lot of salads. The fruits and vegetables are just so amazing, um, And then, I buy chicken breasts, things like that, that cook up quickly. But if I had a whole family here, I'd be cooking more. But let's see what you asked about cooking. Where did it go? Oh gosh. No, I can't find it. Oh, here we go. Have you tried getting into Colombian cooking, frijoles in the pressure cooker? I get a lot of recipes off YouTube. I haven't tried frijoles only because they're available in every restaurant. They're so good. But I did get a pressure cooker after I got here. Because again, when I cook, I like it to make me food for a while, even stuff I can freeze. So I've made some soups in my pressure cooker. I've made beef stew. I went to my local, that was the first thing I made. It came out really good. I went to my local market. I've shown it before, La Cantaleta, which has a restaurant. It's kind of a big, long bay along the roadway. So the first section of it is the restaurant, which is all Colombian food. And then next is the dairy. And next is dairy and bakery. The next bay is the butcher, and then 2 bays of produce, and then the tienda, which is a little grocery, for all your grocery type items. It's a great little place. But anyway, I went to the butcher and I butchered my Spanish, but I looked up on Google Translate and whatnot because I knew what I wanted. I wanted the type of beef. Obviously I wasn't going to buy steak and make that kind of cut of meat to make it stew, that it could be a tougher, cut. So anyway, he knew exactly what I was talking about. And just like the old days when I'd be with my mom at the butcher. So he took out the piece of meat, he's asking me like where to cut it, like how much. So I'm like, because again, I'm not talking in kilos at that point. Like whatever, I'm like this point. Yeah, right there, stop. So he cut it and then he cubed it for me and he wrapped it in the butcher paper and the whole thing. Oh my gosh. And then I went to the next bay and got like my potato, my onion, celery, those kinds of things, and put it in that pressure cooker. And boy, oh boy, is that thing fast. It cooked in, I don't know, like 40 minutes, something that would take all day to cook. Super tender. But what I like about the pressure cooker, I can make things like that in soup. And I don't mind repeating and eating the same thing a few days in a row. But then I made separate Tupperware containers and froze them. So yeah, I just have, a quick meal if I didn't feel like doing anything and wasn't going out to eat. So yeah, love the pressure cooker here. Okay, Boink is saying $1,000 a month is a solid middle class wage in Colombia. Yeah, but I'm just being honest with you. I think that I would not recommend somebody coming here that makes only $1,000 a month. And you can ask really any creator that lives here in Colombia. That's tight. I mean, that's super, super tight. And remember, Colombians, they have a lot of relatives, so people can help them out with things. I mean, you're here on your own, 100% on your own. And even if you're on the EPS insurance, the government insurance, you're still having to pay every month for that. Life is just more costly in general. I mean, you have your phone, even though that's inexpensive. You're not going to have utilities, things like that. You're going to have food, and I always tell people they really shouldn't come here with less than 15. I think is just being conservative, maybe, but and I just wouldn't, especially if you're paying rent too. Yeah, I wouldn't come here with less than 1,500 a month income. Oh, and Gordon, yeah, I forgot to mention over on the Pacific Coast, which is also nowhere near me, that yellow fever shot is required for there. But yeah, the region that I'm in doesn't have that problem. Oh, Roger is asking how long you have to have private medical insurance. Well, it's basically just travel insurance, while you're waiting, for your visa to be approved and then to get on government insurance. You when you apply for your M visa, you have to show that you have a year's, insurance, and the minimum would be a type of travel insurance. Mine cost somewhere, I'm trying to remember, around 1,000 to 1,200 for, like, the year. But keep in mind, travel insurance is not pre-existing conditions. It's just basically for emergencies, things like that. That's why it was so inexpensive. And I actually had to follow up. I ended up being fine, but I had to see a specialist in the US before I moved. Oh, the rabbit hole I went down. All these crazy tests. I mean, like, unfreaking believable. Every single one was negative, and they said, "Well, just check your blood again after you get there, wait 3 months and check." So I had to see a hematologist of all things. I've mentioned this before in YouTube videos. But I had to see a hematologist. I that had a blood work done. They offered to send the phlebotomist to my home, so that was only $5 more than going back to the hospital. So I did that and then follow up with the hematologist. The total bill, because I couldn't put it on my travel insurance, the total bill, 2 specialist visits and full blood work was $120. So, do I wanna live my entire life here, like, with having no insurance? No. I mean, to me, that's a risk, but I know a lot of people that do, that have enough money in the bank, and they think, "Oh, gosh." I mean, it's very, very inexpensive to go to the doctor here, very, very inexpensive to stay in a state-of-the-art, amazing hospital here. But heaven forbid, I mean, if you get sick and then you end up in a hospital for months, even though it's dirt cheap, that's gonna add up. So I always highly recommend insurance once people move down here. But during that application process for your visa, not just the application, but to show that in the application process, you have to show you have at least the travel insurance, and you have to make sure that you don't just get it anywhere online. You have to make sure that it's approved by Colombia. Has to be on their list too, or they won't let you come. And rightly so. I mean, they don't want some really sick person coming here and just showing up at a hospital and then never paying the bill. Because what then happens is, well, that can raise prices and things like that in the long run. So Colombia is just careful about that and letting people in. They want to make sure that they have things covered. Oh, okay. Rogers had asked the second part. No, it's not private insurance. This is travel insurance. So, as I told you, I paid somewhere between 1,000 to 1,200 for the full year for that, and mine was called an assist card. But again, Huli was the one that gave me all of this advice of what to do, what not to do, and at the time, that was the best priced insurance, travel insurance that was accepted by Colombia. That was a good policy. So that's the one I went with, but she had told me that changes all the time, so you always wanna make sure you're getting, good coverage. Oh, Luis is saying that Huli helped me with my purchase. Actually, she didn't help me. I met her right after. So I had already bought my condo. But I had done thorough research, so I knew the price point I had to buy in order for my investor visa to still be valid at the end of the 5 years, the residency. So I did that. So, the main thing that you want is you want a good brokerage firm like Alianza, that's handling your money, that's gonna be in direct contact with you all the time, as far as all legalities you have to do with your fingerprint, do this and that. Colombia is very careful of the money that comes through the country and how it's processed. So it's required that it's through through a large brokerage house like Alianza. And then the other thing that you make sure that you have, and I recommend this even if you're renting, you do anything that's contractual with an attorney. Instead of thousands of dollars, you're talking minimum, a few $100s to buy a home is definitely well worth it. And you're not going to have these exorbitant title company costs and things like that. And when you buy property in Colombia, what the attorney does is they do everything that the title company does and then some. And keep in mind, your title company isn't even checking title or doing anything until close to the end of the closing period, right? Right before you close. But in Colombia, when you hire an attorney, you're using them, not a real estate agent, to do these types of things. So that few $100s that you're spending, which would have been thousands of dollars in the US through just a title company, that attorney is representing you by putting together the offer, by putting together, so not a real estate agent, by putting together the terms of your agreement. You're putting down such and such an amount. You are closing in so many days. And all of this, of course, is agreed with the seller and with you, just like it is in the US, but an attorney is handling that. And they not only do a title check to make sure the title on the property that you're about to buy is free and clear. They do that at the beginning. They also do a background check on the seller, and they make sure that that seller matches that title, that it really is that person. I mean, all of that. So I highly, highly recommend, actually suggest, that you use an attorney when purchasing property here. And believe me, if I had done a lease, I would have hired an attorney to look that over and making sure and double checking, especially not being fluent in the language and that kind of thing. Anything contractual, I think it's well worth it. Just like I say, an expert like Huli that's going to handle all your visa, immigration type of things, an expert accountant who Huli works with too, that are fantastic. The one that I use is one that's more for individuals and families, and then she has another great accountant that's for people with mega bucks that actually start companies here and all of that. And I certainly didn't need that accountant. But again, these types of services are pennies on the dollar and well worth it. Like I know, and I have an accountant in the US that knows I live in Colombia now. And so I know my US tax return is done right. My Colombian tax return is done right. And all these scary things I had read about on the internet, like all this, they're going to take all this money from you and stuff, is not the case. And you hire the right person and they understand all the ins and outs, all the deductions, what accountants do. And I always tell people, I don't give specific accounting advice, but that you'll be very pleased if you hire a good professional as far as your liability here, as well as in the US. Boink is saying the junk food in Colombia is great. It is. And I try to be healthy with mine. Oh, Boink is saying I need to go on an arepa snack tour. That would be kind of fun. What I've learned is that each region of Colombia has its different style of arepa. So for those of you who don't know, it's like a tortilla. I wish I had one here, but I don't right now. But it's thicker. And in this part of Colombia, they're about this big around, and they're probably about that thick. But their regular arepa, just like a plain one, to me is just really, really bland, kind of like biting. And sometimes they're softer in the middle, the homemade ones. They cook them outside, so they kind of have those grill marks on the outside, so that gives a little flavor. But they're pretty just bland, almost taste like nothing. Slight corn flavor, but not much. And they're white. But there's another arepa here that's also from this region, and it's called, I never ordered it. I thought it was some kind of dessert thing because it's arepa chocolo. So it looked like chocolate, chocolo. And somebody told me about it. I was like, oh no, you have to try this. It's like it's made with like a creamed corn, like a sweet corn and big chunks of corn in there. and it is cooked outside with those grill marks. And then they put the queso cheese, which is not like nacho queso cheese, guys. It's kind of similar to mozzarella, not quite as melty, but it's a white cheese. They put that and melt that on top of this like creamy, it's like creamy cornbread with chunks of sweet corn in it with melted cheese on top. And it is so good. That's my favorite. I absolutely love it here. But then I found out, because I don't really count calories. And my metabolism has been great here, but I don't use like tons of oil and butter. I try not to eat a lot of fried foods and things like that. But I was talking to one of my Colombian neighbors after I discovered it, and she said, "Oh, the reason it's so good is because it's basted in butter when they grill it outside." I said, "Oh, no wonder it's so sweet and delicious. It is like oozing with fresh cream butter." So just remember arepas chocolo. Gordon lost 40 pounds the first months here, yes. And I've lost within, I guess it was the first 6 months, maybe year, about 20 pounds. Yeah. And I've maintained, thank goodness. But I really don't have to watch. I try to be healthy, but I eat so much more than I eat in the US. I eat so much more here. And I'm not super athletic type. So yes, I walk a bit more here, but I have a car too. So I also looked it up. I did a video on this. It was my surprise. I thought maybe it's the altitude. And sure enough, I asked AI, and the higher the altitude, the faster your metabolism. So I mean, I eat arepas chocolate. I mean, not every day, but if I go to a restaurant and I want to get chicharron, which is like it's kind of there's a layer of fat and then there's this white meat of pork. And the fat is like crispy, almost like bacon. But you're supposed to eat the whole thing. The first time I was with Colombian friends and I was just eating the meat side, and they're like, "No, you eat the whole thing." Like I'm not used to like eating like the fat. But anyway, it's delicious. But I can eat things like that, or I don't even think about it or worry about it. Or if I'm at a cafe having coffee, I'll just have this incredible, pastry with it and just not worry about it. I would have never done that in the US. I was the type of person that you go out to dinner, I would either order fish with like veggies, never with like home fries or French fries. It would be a baked potato, and I put very little sour cream, like no butter, a little salt and pepper, maybe, those types of things, grilled fish, chicken. I never ordered like, fried food or heavy foods and steaks, pork, stuff like that. But I do that here, and I haven't put on any weight, and I lost weight in the beginning too. Gordon says that you had withdrawal symptoms from no preservatives. I just felt better. I don't know if I went through withdrawal, but I just feel so much healthier. And people are saying from my first videos to now that I just look so much healthier. Um, I don't crave as much. There's so much added sugar and weird chemicals and stuff in the US that I think gets us addicted to things and makes us hungry. I'm not as hungry as often. And I notice that when I eat a meal, the meals are really big here in the restaurants. I take the rest home and have another meal the next day, but I'm not able to eat the amounts that I was. And I think in the US, my stomach was probably just stretched out, and I was just addicted to, the types of foods there and just eating more and more often. Oh, and Azul is talking about the notices. Oh, my bag of granola has it. Okay, so I call them shame on you tags in Colombia. Government's very good about this. They want you to see very boldly, and the companies that package the foods are required to label them this way. If there is excessive sugar, excessive sodium, or excessive bad types, trans fats, then there is a huge, look at my granola. It's mirrored. Excessive sugar. I'm sorry. But yeah. So I try to be aware of that, but this granola is really good. But and it's amazing when you see how many foods are high in sugar, but you don't see sugar added to things like ketchup here or barbecue sauce or all the things, or spaghetti sauce, all the things that have crept up. Like I remember reading an article and it had listed all the things in the US, like compared to the 60s, like when I grew up, and then the amount of sugar that there is today. There were examples like peanut butter, like what Jif or Skippy peanut butter, with the ingredients were peanuts and salt, like in the 60s. And now I think the first ingredients is sugar in peanut butter. And that's true of so many things you buy in the US. So, obviously with a lot of cereals, you're going to have, a label like I just showed you, the excess sugar. But I don't eat a big bowl of that. This is more of a condiment on top of my plain yogurt and fruit and stuff that I have in the morning. It just adds some sprinkling goodness to the top of it. Oh, Lori, yeah, the community, the retirement community that I showed you is not assisted living, so there are no doctors on hand there. There is a 24-hour nurses station that's available. There is a fee, but in Colombia, and it wasn't open when I was there, so I don't know what it is. But you do anything medical like that, would be pennies on the dollar. And it probably is included in most insurance as well. So it's not a nursing home type of assisted living. It's more of a retirement community. And I'm glad you brought that up, because what most people do, the people I talk to that have known much older expats here that have need help, that they remain where they live and they just hire a live-in. Yeah, or they hire somebody full time for like $500 a month, that's 7 days a week, 9 hours a day type of situation. Well, I don't think that's allowed, but close to full time for a few $100s a week. Or they have a live-in, and that's very inexpensive because they're giving room and board, and this person does all their shopping for them, helps them get to doctor's appointments, cooks, even can help with bathing, those types of things in the home. So that's what most people do. If they don't have family, is they just have a private person help them, which is kind of nice, being able to stay at home. And that's another thing too. Everybody has to think about, everybody has different medical concerns, needs, different family situations at home. I'm fortunate because I know for a fact, and my children and I have talked about it, if I came down with something really, really bad, and I probably wouldn't stay here with a full-time helper. I would probably go back to the US and just move into one of the rooms with one of my children, when I get to that age. But I do think a lot of people go into these nursing home situations just simply because their families, they aren't like Colombian families. They aren't gonna, they don't even live near their elderly parent, and that parent just goes into a facility, which is not so typical. But those facilities do exist here, and they're much less expensive than they are in the US. So you're better off being here if you have no one back home to help you, either in a nursing home or with somebody helping take care of you in your own apartment or house. Oh, Boink is saying you're hoping to find duck eggs. I see them. I just don't know what they taste like, but everywhere where I go shopping, I think it's duck eggs. They're, you have to tell me, Boink. They're kind of speckled. They're sort of a almost black. but they're like a creamy color egg, and then they have, blackish brown sort of leopardy spots on them. I think that's what they are, and they're smaller than a chicken egg, a little smaller. So tell me if that's what those are, and I probably should look up how to cook with them. KMM is asking about my dating life in Colombia. None. And it's not that I'm not open to it, but I'm not comfortable going on Tinder or like one of those things here. Um, I'm in the age range. I'm about to next month turn 68. So that kind of narrows down. Uh, and I actually made a video on this. I thought I'd get a lot of pushback on this, and I didn't say any of this to be mean. But most men my age, and this is true of Colombian men too. So I'm not just I'm not just saying expats. It's traditional in Colombia too for men of my age to have much younger girlfriends or wives. I mean, it's just, and the women are very comfortable with that. So very, very typical that you'd see a man, pushing 70 like I am, and his wife is 40, just everywhere. So all I can say is if the right person crosses my path, boy, oh, and they're interested in me, that passes a major test for me, because what that's saying is they're attracted to something more than just how I look. So they're a person of depth, a person of emotion, a person of there's like this, so much more than it would be what I would be looking for. So if that person happens to cross my path, I would absolutely love that, but it hasn't yet. And I mentioned this in that other video. I'm 5'11", so I actually tower over most men in Colombia. But to be honest, I mean, where I live in my community, it's all couples. And that's how it was in Florida too. Like, I don't know where the divorced people but and single women, like, where do divorced or widower retired men go? Because they just seem to, like, poof, disappear from wherever it is that I'm living. Because I have not there is not and I've gotten to know there's a number of buildings in my community. And so, especially when I had Petunia and out walking all the time, it was just couples everywhere, so I'm all alone, but that's okay. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Oh, Boink says duck eggs are larger than chicken eggs. Okay, so those weren't duck eggs that I see in all the stores. I need to ask. They're smaller. They're they don't look as small as a quail egg, so there must be another type of fowl that's here that's a little bigger than that's bigger than a quail and smaller than a chicken. Maybe I don't know. I'll have to find out. Oh, Luis is asking about the dollar devaluating in Colombia. I just like I said earlier, I make sure I have a cushion. So the fluctuations that take place, if you look into it and research it, you'll see this is very typical. It'll dip down. I always, in my head, use the four, like I divide by four to come up with the conversion. But it went down to like, I think 3.6, maybe 7, but it was back up yesterday to almost 3.9. It's going to gradually go back up again. And what happens is I've looked at it and I've gone back like 10 years and looked at the average. It always averages at around 4. So there're going to be some 6-month period, maybe 8-month periods where it'll be worth less, my US money, but then there'll be other times when it's up higher than 4, and I'll be like, whoa. So I know that I'm okay no matter where it is in that spectrum. So I don't pay attention to it. I don't worry about it in any way. It's not a huge fluctuation, like to go, like it was at like 4.1 something for quite a long time. And like I said, as of yesterday, it was at 3.8. That's not huge difference. And for those that are renting, And, it might make a bit of a difference. You just keep that in your budget. Doesn't matter where you go, you're going to have some fluctuation, but there's no indication that there's some crashing down crazy thing going down. And you can go back and look at the history online of the peso and dollar, and the dollar has always been the strong one. It's always been in the long run worth far more. So I'm not concerned about it. Gordon has I heard about I think I know who she I don't know if you even live in this area, Gordon, but somebody told me, it's not in my community, but nearby, that their friend is 70. He says he knows a 70-year-old woman with a guy in his 30s. And I've heard, listen, that can happen anywhere. It's not true of one sex or the other. That's so funny. In her 70s with a guy in his 30s. Yeah, it's, I'm and I did a whole video on this, so, and people can get a little mad at me or whatever for this, but, I feel in a relationship, there is so much more other than physical attraction to me. I'm a Scorpio. I'm a really passionate person. I love you can tell I can talk. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've been on now for 11, 12, 11 yeah, 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I'm still talking. But no, I'm a person of depth, and I love just having deep, deep conversations with the person that I love, and, just sharing, like, all these interests just on a superficial or just, sexual level. To me, that sort of thing fades. That initial ba ba boom, period with someone. There has to be so much more there than that. And not to say that you couldn't, but I personally feel, pushing 70 myself, that someone younger than my son just doesn't have the life experience that I have. I just don't have enough in common with someone like that, unless they were super unique. That I just don't think I would ever go that much younger. And I just would feel like it just physically, I'd feel like I'd be looking at a kid, you know. It just doesn't click for me. Nope, just not for me. But a bit of an age difference in either direction is not a problem for me. Donna says I need 40. I'm almost 70. I'll be 70 in 2 years. I'm not going for a 40-year-old guy, most likely. Oh, Lori is saying, yeah, she has been in healthcare since 2003 and has been a private caregiver for 13 years. It costs seven to $10,000 a month for assisted living in Austin. Yeah, and I know that there are nursing home type assisted living things here. I just, I keep bringing up my sweet little Petunia. I miss her so much. There were a lot of things I couldn't go and visit and investigate and things because I had a dog, and a dog that would bark incessantly. I could not leave her in my condo. I mean, not to mention the fact with a heart condition. I mean, I she would be so upset if I even left her. So I was only going to places which 90% of the places in Colombia is that pet friendly. I could take her, but not a medical type facility. I'm sure not an assisted living nursing home, and not big supermarket chain. Just a few places like that, and then the museums. You'll see, I'll be going to some major places that I couldn't go before. But anyway, that's why I don't have a lot of information on the care here, but I know it exists. But I can tell you because I know the difference in the cost of medical here, like a doctor's visit, staying in the hospital, those kinds of things. I mean, we are not talking of 25% the price. We are talking pennies, like literally pennies on the dollar. Yeah, the that's an option, and I do plan on looking into that for people. But as I was saying, I think a lot of people can have an in-home caregiver for very, very inexpensively and be able to remain at home because I know that's important for a lot of people. I know for my dad, my mom took care of him, and he had had a series of strokes that affected him physically. Not too bad; he recovered from that, but very much so mentally. But he was able to stay at home, and that made him happy. Having that as an option here in Colombia to be able to be at home for many more years than one would be able to certainly in the U.S. because the cost of private in-home care, I mean, forget about it. You just mentioned, sorry, my leg's falling asleep. I've been doing this for almost 2.5 hours, guys. Okay, I'm going to take a little drink break, a little ice water. So talk amongst yourselves, enjoy. But my throat's getting a little dry. I'm going to be doing some traveling. I'm going to go back and because again with Petunia, I couldn't travel with her. So it's been way too long since I saw my kids. So I'm going to have a long visit there. I'm actually, one of the things I'm going to do when I'm back in Florida is I'm going to go to Publix, which is the big supermarket there. I'm going to go down the aisle. I'm going to show some of the prices and go, oh my gosh, I get this for this in Colombia. Oh my gosh. Right. So I just can't wait to, because I know, I mean, for the government to say like inflation's under control, I know that's not the case. Every time I've been back there, things are more and more expensive. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I do want to get out and about eventually and see more of Colombia. And then also, maybe some other trips. And that's the beauty of what YouTube has done for me. I did not want to go back to work. I started YouTube to help fellow expats and to also uh, fill my sort of creative desires. I'm a super creative person, and I loved, even though I was technically and still am so technically challenged, making the videos and the editing is so fun for me. Like some people knit or paint or whatever, and so I just been doing that, and it's been super great. And I'm a human connection type person, so being able to do lives like this, doing the consults, the tours, I've enjoyed that a lot. But it's also providing me with additional income, which I was hoping to have a little something. I didn't think it would be on this level and that it would explode the way it did, but that's a gift, so it has. But I'm a person that lives by the philosophy of you can't take it with you. So right now, I have my health. I have such a joyful life. And I do want to be able to travel. And if I was just living on my Social Security, even though I don't spend it all, I would have probably not left my little local area and just gone back to Florida like once or twice a year kind of a thing. So a lot more is going to be opening up for me. And I look forward to sharing that with everyone. Oh, Rivka, you must have joined a little bit after I answered this question. You're saying that you're close to DC, so that consulate there and starting your visa there. Do not do your Colombian visa at any consulate. Just don't. Just you can do it when if you decide to move here, you're coming on a tourist visa that's valid for up to 6 months. So, and a tourist visa when you're here takes 2 months. And you do it when you're here and it's done quickly, it's done right. You're here, everything's checked. What happens at a consulate is it just goes on someone's desk somewhere and it can sit forever. There are people, and Huli has them, that have been waiting over a year and nothing's processed yet. And she's actually had to go in and negate that and start all over again for the person. So it's not true with every country, every consulate, but it's true with Colombia. You definitely want to do that when you come. You have more than enough time when you arrive, because you have 6 whole months when you first arrive with just your passport, to go ahead and do that. Kuliana says that, yeah, a lot of the older men prefer the younger women. And, that's fine, because what that does is that's their own prerogative. That's their own thing, and I see it, and really see it on YouTube channels in Southeast Asia. That, if that's what does it for a guy, then more power to him. I I just have to have a whole lot in common with that person and relate on just a level of intellect and depth and passion and all of these things that I should arm candy is not my thing. And I'm not gonna say anymore. That's just not, no. And I'm not one for sort of casual encounters and that kind of thing either. So if the right person comes along, they do. But this area will definitely separate the true men from the boys, if so to speak, because they have temptation, everywhere. So if they're going to be interested in me, it's going to be for more than just what I look like, and the fact that I have 30-year-old skin, not close to 70-year-old skin. But, that's just how it goes, and I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Gordon is saying, "Oh, you missed the dill pickles." I have not found the best pickles here. No. I did find a sweet pickle that was good. They're not big on pickles here. Oh gosh, Owen. Yeah, I don't want to get into anything political, but yeah, my kids told me that Florida is now allowing, yeah, that he's mentioning in Publix that Florida now has loosened up their gun laws, so you can open carry guns now in Florida. I won't even go there because it's a political thing, but anyway. Oh, you're welcome, Clara. She says, "Thank you for your time and effort in helping others thinking of relocating to Colombia." Well, thanks so much. And I hope that I help people that are just not even set on Colombia, because, just picking a place or knowing, what's important to do in your research, and what's important questions to ask yourself before you decide on the area. Really, really get to know, and questions like we were talking about climate earlier, all those kinds of things, because we tend to be romanced when we travel. I've been to places that were just amazing, but oh, I brought this up in last Sunday, and I think it's kind of a cool thing. I would have been fine here in Colombia if this area was, as far as going out, let's use music as an example, that anywhere I'd go, any venue, whether it's, a larger concert hall or just a restaurant with some, musicians in it, that kind of thing. That if it was always, everywhere I went, it was Colombian folk music, which is beautiful. It's amazing. Long, long traditions, incredible. Or salsa music, which is, of course, very big here. If that was what I heard everywhere I went, I would be fine. I would be fine. But I was blown away by the global consciousness here. And I've heard it's not just Colombia, that it is also it's true in Bogota too, which is the capital. But this region that I'm in, which includes Medellin, which is the Paisa culture, very globally aware. So, I mean, the types of restaurants, I have Moroccan, French, Japanese, Greek, Lebanese. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So not just Colombian food, but it's the same thing with music. I mean, I'm just amazed. And like, I can just hear it like playing in a store or a restaurant. I'm not always hearing the Spanish lyrics, for instance. I'm hearing, rock music, or I might hear jazz music, which sounds like I'm in, the W Hotel in Manhattan or something, just like I'm rounding another corner, and it's like I'm like going, globally as I'm walking through my little town of El Retiro. So I love that. It's a wonderful kind of diverse feeling here, and very accepting feeling. All people are welcome here, and I've noticed that right away, whether it's someone that is gay or someone that's another race, someone that dresses a little different. No one's stared at, no one's treated any differently here. And I know that for a fact, because I do know some people that are less sort of mainstream that are super happy here, and I'm out and about with them, and they're not looked at in any unusual way, and I love that too. It's a very, very open culture here. Okay, Gordon is talking about a fruit haul he did. He bought fruit from a fruit cart, and there are those, especially on Saturdays and Sundays in the Pueblo town squares. He bought a whole pineapple, 2 mangoes, 2 avocados, 4 bananas, and it was 37,000 COP, which is about $10. Yep, that's amazing. And I'm gonna have it. I was shooting that furniture store I told you about a little earlier this afternoon, and there was a fruit market next to it, and it was a nice plaza, and I just needed a couple things, but then I was looking at the prices in there, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is like really well priced in here, and everything looked gorgeous. So I decided to do my fruit shopping, and when I was done buying my fruits and vegetables, the bill came to about $7.30 US. And I asked the girl, I said, um, she had it all in one bag, and I asked her to just put it on the scale because I wanted to see how much it weighed, and then I converted it, you'll see in the video, to pounds. It was 7 1/3 pounds of fruits and vegetables, and I'll tell you in a minute what was in it, for around $7. And I had like 3 avocados, I had tomatoes, I had blueberries, I had strawberries. I mean, the list goes on, a cucumber, 2 tangerines, 2 apples. I mean, it was 7 1/3 pounds for $7. And so it's interesting, that the healthiest things, your fruits, vegetables, and meats, are actually less expensive than the processed foods. Not that I eat much, but I'll show my granola again. For those that have just joined, and this is like my favorite from D1. And these bags are like less than $1, and there's a lot in them. But they're all I won't eat these now but they have like sweet potato and yucca. It's cooked in canola oil and salt, no other additives, but they're so yummy. So there's a lot of junk food that's not bad for you. There's no added sugar or chemicals or weird GMO things or any of that kind of stuff. But I get this, I can't remember how much this is, but the bag's like less than $1 at D1. But they're my favorite little snack chip thing. But in general, like if you wanted to buy like all US, listen, you could come. This is why it's so hard to come up with a budget video for anyone. I mean, I know that if you're careful, I know basically what it costs to live here, but not everybody is careful what they shop and where they do. I mean, if you wanted to buy like Hellman's mayonnaise, Kellogg's cereal, which by the way, all of these things will be a little less than the US, which shocks me, right? So it's not like you're going to overpay for them. But when you're used to paying for something like the quarter of the price, that's your whole point that you're here, right? In Colombia. Why do you want to pay close to US price for something? So like my mayonnaise, I buy a Colombian brand, and it's delicious. And it's like a quarter of the price than if I bought like a US. Like I've even seen some US salad dressings. It's like, why would I buy that? When I can buy, I'm not big on olive oil, and they don't grow olives here. So the olive oil comes from Portugal, I think. or sometimes Chile, I'm not sure. Um, and it's more expensive than if I buy the avocado oil from here, and so that's what I make my salad dressing with. And then I don't know, I was like missing like those creamy dressings. You know, those dressings you can get in the supermarket in the US that are in the refrigerator section that are like blue cheese or ranch, and it's made like with fresh like buttermilk or sour cream. And I can't even imagine what those cost now, but those are so good that last time I was in the US, I had remembered, oh, that I remember years ago before there were a lot of bottled dressings that Hidden Valley came out with the little seasoning packets, you know, the little foil packets, and you made that's how ranch first was introduced. It was the Hidden Valley little packets. Do you guys remember those? And so you bought, I think it was either sour cream or buttermilk or something, and a little mayonnaise, and then the packet. And it had to kind of absorb, so you had to wait a few hours, or you'd make it like the day before. But I went to Walmart got they sell them still, and I got a bunch of those because, I could pack them. And, so now and then if I want like a creamy dressing, I make my homemade Hidden Valley Ranch, 'cause those kinds of dressings and stuff you don't see here, that are made with like the fresh milk. They're not big on salad dressing other than olive oil and vinegary kind of stuff that you have here. So, you get to know the ropes, so to speak. And, I just avoid, certain types of things. Like the paper products are less expensive. They're not the same quality, but I don't let that bother me. I mean, I could go into Medellin, pay the annual fee. There's PriceSmart, which is just like Costco. Um, and I've been there once. It's huge bulk, just like going to Costco, and you can get Charmin toilet paper and stuff like that. And it's like, you know what? I've gotten used to the Colombian toilet paper. I buy the premium one, and it's perfectly fine, but it's much less expensive than U.S. toilet paper. And I have yet to find a paper towel that's like a Bounty paper towel, but I don't care. In fact, I don't use paper towels that often. I use, kitchen towels, things like that, that I just wash. So not everything is perfect here. But the good far outweighs the difficult. I mean, but you do when you move somewhere that's out of the country, and maybe just because my age and I had traveled when I was younger, like even starting in high school. I mean, you couldn't go to Europe. I mean, there was not, I remember I was 16 and I had been in Europe all summer with a group of students, and we were freaking out because we went to Munich and there was a McDonald's. I think it was like one of the first McDonald's in Europe, because this was like in the early 1970s. And we were freaking out. Like it was so cool. And then another one of my friends had a military dad. And because he was military, if we were going through a country and close to a US base, we could go to the, what's that called? Commissary store. And we would like stock up. We get like Oreos and peanut butter and stuff because you couldn't find anything like that. Well, I can buy, if I wanted Oreos or Ritz crackers, they sell them here, but there's Colombian versions that are like less expensive than buying a US product. So that's what you do. You just learn the ropes, and you can eat and live very healthy, and you can even eat a bunch of junk food if you want, for much less than in the US. Far, far less. Mhm. Aw, let's face it. Oh, you're so sweet. It says, "Nana, you're looking so stately and regal today." No, my hair is, like, all messed up. It's not clean. So, no, I was just saying that's that silver spoon, like, in me. I know I don't dress every day like this. I wear T-shirts, like, running pants, tennis shoes. That's my, if it's cool out, like a running jacket, like zip up, quarter zip thing, that kind of thing. But I do like to dress nice now and then. I thought I'm doing a live, so like I don't wear these. These are just fake, but like these little pearl hoop earrings and my nice shirt. It's just an opportunity to, I don't know, get a little fancier today. So thanks for noticing. Well, Shane is commenting about something about doing a return and reshipping and port fees. But Shane, if you're responding to someone and that person is still here, whatever that subject line is, if I start scrolling up really far right now, I'll get lost. So if anyone on that subject line has a question for me, just let me know again. Just put it in the chat again and I'll answer. Okay, somebody's talking about shipping a car, but to Hawaii. I can tell you, do not ship a car to Colombia. Colombia, listen, Colombia's doing really well. They're really smart about a lot of things. I noticed. And one of those things happens to be cars. They want you to buy, and they're not necessarily cars made in Colombia. I think some manufacturers make here, but in South America, Central America, Mexico, they're cars that are made. So we see a lot of Kias here, Renaults, a lot of brands that we're used to seeing all over, as well as luxury brands and things like that. But to bring by cargo a car to Colombia, it has to be less than, it's either 1 or 2 years old, but I think it's 1 year old, and then the duty on it is like over 20%. So that's like for the mega wealthy. Who would want to move to Colombia? I don't know. I mean, and there are super wealthy people that buy these estates and stuff like that. But I don't, to me, and it's not just that I don't worry in the region that I'm in, it's very, very safe. But to me, it's just garish. Um, it's like, you have working class people, most of whom are actually going to and from work on a motorcycle because for them, just the cost of the gas and, everything for car is just considered a luxury. So like I would never drive some, major Mercedes or something like that here. But that's just me. I'm not judging anyone that does. That sounds mean. But no, you don't want to bring a car in for sure. Um, Okay, Motor is asking if there is an African American community in El Retiro. I wouldn't call it really a community. There's probably more, and I wouldn't say African American. I would say this area is mostly Colombian, and there are Afro-Colombian people all over Colombian, all over Colombia. Majority of which are on the coastline, so in the Caribbean, type of areas of Colombia. But this area is extremely accepting. I mean, I see people, and most of them are Colombian. I see African descent Colombians all the time. I see no prejudice against them, nothing like that. As far as Afro American, there are so few Americans in my region where I'm in, that I would say not that often. In my expat group, yes, there's some, but very few. In Medellín, different story. I see a lot. Probably, I'd say as far as countries, I know, like for instance, in Bangkok, that's a very popular place to go for African Americans. So the best thing to do is to visit. But I'm I mean, I would have to say just who I am, who's, not, I mean, I'm of Italian descent, I'm white, but I'm not Colombian. And I mean, I am unusual here. So you would be too. You would be, being just an American in general, despite your race, you would just be unusual, but very, very welcomed. I haven't had any animosity. In fact, just very much interest. And not just like curiosity interests, but finding out you're new and an enormous sense of pride and them wanting to share, like, "Oh, let me tell you about such and such. Oh, you go shopping there? Well, make sure you try this," and blah, 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 blah. And then also inviting you over, everybody, every family. It's like you become all your neighbors become an extension of your own family here. It is that warm and friendly. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. And I probably get it a little more because I'm older and I'm solo. So that extension of love and sweetness is just, doled out in droves to me. Oh, Gordon is saying he wouldn't drive in Colombia. My area, I have no problem, but I do not drive in Medellin. I showed you a little bit of video, and it was on the weekend. I was there with Johan. He was driving. I mean, there's an enormous amount of motorcycles because that's what most Colombians can afford. But in Medellin, they're like jetting in and out. Out here, it's just a different story. Like when you're on the highway, they will pass you a motorcycle. That's fine. I let them and they pass. Most of the highways have double yellow line, but they pass regardless. But I've never had somebody like where I'm like, well, I don't drive close to anyone, but someone, if I were relatively close and have them like jut and yeah, they're going to pass when they see like an enormous gap. I have not ever once been cut off by someone here. But when I go with someone else that's driving into the city of Medellin, that happens like all day, every day, that people are jetting out in front of you. It's kind of like New York City driving. That same kind of, how cabs drive there, very aggressive. But I don't notice that as much out here. I'm very comfortable with my car, and I've been driving here for close to 2 years. Oh, Gordon's talking about driving with lights. My dad taught me this years ago, and especially if you're in a windy road situation or really anywhere, trucks are required to have their lights on at all times. I keep my lights on at all times, so people see me coming, and even during the day, I just do. On my car, thank goodness I don't have to remember to turn them off. It has like a safety, like a thing so you don't wear out your battery. So they turn off automatically so many seconds or maybe a minute after I lock my car. They go off. So they're just on, all the time whenever it's running. Yeah, Andrea is saying how ethnically and culturally diverse Colombia is. It is. And so welcoming. I mean, it could be even, somebody's never met anyone from Cambodia. They're going to be just as nice to somebody from Cambodia as they are from somebody from France. It's just they're warm and welcoming to everyone and show a genuine interest in the culture that you are part of as well. So a lot of people are talking about getting a car. I got a car because I live another 1,000 feet up above El Retiro. So I'm up a finca, kind of these ranches and stuff, private road, and then my community is at the very top. So Ubers don't like going out of the way up here. The buses don't come up here. And I worked that into my budget. That's why my apartment's so small. I fell in love with the view here. I thought I'm going to get the smallest apartment they have, so I have enough money left over for a car. And I'm really glad I have a car. But if you are in an area that's serviced by the buses and there's Uber, then you don't need a car here. It's super convenient for me because I love having the option. I can be in Jana Grande, which has the really big box stores. They're about to open a Price Mart there too, and it just broke ground. But anyway, there's all of that is 20 minutes, and then the little pueblo of El Retiro is 15. But right at the bottom of my of my mountain is a lot of the small grocery store, pharmacy, wonderful coffee cafe, a lot of restaurants. This area is popular for people to come from Medellin. These are Colombians that come that want a nice meal and they come out and see the countryside. for the day, that kind of thing. Very, very popular. So that's why there are a lot of great restaurants here. And they're right by my mountain too. You don't have to go into the Pueblo for a lot of these, shops and restaurants and things like that. Oh, Francisco's asking about Caruja. Caruja is the big supermarket chain here. It's owned by Exito. So we have Exito Supermarket and Caruja. I have noticed in the last year, I don't have an Exito that near me, but it always seemed a little less expensive. There's one in San Nicolas Mall in Rio Negro, but it's further than the Caruja. And it's also in a mall. And so it's like the underground parking and like all the stuff. This is a big Caruja and Llano Grande is easier for me. I have noticed prices go up, but I did notice right off the bat that the supermarket Caruja was more expensive than my local grocery store. I actually have a few grocery stores, which is weird because in the US, you go to a small independent groceries, they're more expensive, and especially like a 7-Eleven kind of store as well. But that's not true. In Colombia, the smaller stores are less expensive. There are certain things I love in Caruja has like a bakery like Publix has, but it's far better. They have really good breads and things like that. There's certain things that I get there, or if I happen to be in Llano Grande and I need some groceries and I don't feel like doing another stop and I'm right there, I will get stuff. But in general, prices have gone up in Colombia. Prices have gone up all over the world. It's just a fact of life. That's another reason to be careful, with your budget before you decide to move somewhere. Make sure you have enough cushion to allow for this, this occurrence because it does happen. And I'm very good at looking at prices and knowing what to buy and when. And just like in the US, there are things that are on sale. So if I see, certain kind of chicken breasts on sale, I'll get like a big bag of it and I'll freeze some, kind of a thing, because it's a good deal that time. Or if it's something that I normally would buy in Caruja, but I'm saying, oh my gosh, that's like twice as expensive as going to the D1, where I keep showing all my snacky things like my cashews for like $1.25, which is like 2 servings of these big, I'm gonna have big enormous cashews. But so I go to D1 or ARA for like my milk, my yogurt, my cereals, my snacky stuff. Their produce is inexpensive, but I don't find it as wonderful as going to the fruit and vegetable markets, far better. And La Quintaleta, my local grocer, has 2 big fruit bays, which are so inexpensive. I mean, guys, you can get like a huge, gigantic bag filled with fruits and vegetables and good stuff, even berries, for under $10. So, yeah, so I wouldn't go and spend, you know, even getting it for $15 to $20 at Caruja. Listen, everyone, I mean, I was going to tell you, you have to remember how much less expensive it is here. Like even if you're paying Caruja prices, that it's still, you are saving so much money over the US. But if you really play the game right here, you can be just like phenomenally cheaper. So, and if you're coming down here and you're retired, that's something to do, you know? So a couple of days a week, you go to your fruit and vegetable grocer, you get that kind of thing. You go to once a week, I'm in D1 or ARA. So, I'll get like, toilet paper, hand soap, things like that. Very inexpensive there. There's also Dollar City, which is a Canadian company. So they have Dollar Cities all over Canada and Colombia. And it's in a beautiful mall in Llano Grande, but it's set up so much nicer than your dollar stores in the US. Big wide aisles, everything's displayed super nice. But kitchen gadgets, little, stuff when you first move in, entry rug, toilet bowl, like scrubber thingy, your mops, your, excuse me, all that kind of stuff is so much less expensive at Dollar City. And you get to know what to buy where. Like I'll give you an example. I would not go to Carusia and go down their cleaner and this household aisle, because if I bought like a sponge, like the sponges that have like um they have kind of like a gritty thing on both sides. I don't know how to explain it. Not quite steel wool, but they come in different colors. They're really pretty. I can get a box of six or a bag of six of them for the same price as like two sponges at Carusia, kind of a thing. So you get to know sort of where to shop. So I cannot tell you, I spend so little money. But people can come here and they can go to Michelin restaurants, and, you can go and just not even look at prices and go down every aisle and just grab the most expensive of everything everywhere. But I still think it would be hard to get in the end of that check line and have it be anything the same as what you would pay for filling up a grocery cart in the US. No matter what you put in it, you're still going to save. But it's just a matter of how much you want to save. I would not get who's asking that? Someone just asked about a scooter. Sorry. Your message. I think I just scrolled by mistake. I wouldn't. I would get a small motorcycle. I never see scooters here. Um, and a small motorcycle is going to be about the same price here. And I don't know what the reason for it is. You could go into the Facebook groups in Medellín, but you do not out here in the countryside. These are country highways. You have to have a certain amount of speed on them. I wouldn't do it out here in the countryside. No. Uh, but a lot of expats do get, a small motorcycle and get around on that. But you want it to be able to get up to a certain speed. Um, There are a lot of EVs, Kuliana. Um, I see them all the time. I know I couldn't get one because the first level of each of the buildings in my community is the garage level, not on the ground. So the first floor of the condo building is actually the second floor. The first level is the garage. They don't offer, EV plug-in my garage, and the building's probably only like 7 years old. So I don't know how much there is of that, but I see EV vehicles all the time, and those are people that probably have private homes, is my guess. So they're able to set up a charging, system in their garage at home. So, but I see them everywhere, and you can look. There's, it's kind of like I can't even remember the websites in the U.S., but there's a few of them that show cars for sale, and most of them are through dealerships and things. They're identical to the US, and you can go in Chrome in the browser and change to English, and you can look up cars and stuff. If you're buying brand new, it's going to be more expensive than the US. But if you buy something that's manufactured in South America, Mexico, or Central America, which a lot of the major brands are, and you're buying it used, like my Kia Picanto, which is a small little subcompact, I bought it close to 2 years ago. It was a 2023, so it was relatively new, and it only had 3,000 miles on it, fully under warranty. They were asking, like, I think 18 around 18,000, and I got it for 17,000. So again, like basically a brand new car, but it's small, but it's fine. I am like a magnet for trouble. Like I would never buy an older home. I would never buy a super used car. I don't know enough about it to fix it myself or even know what the person's saying that's going to be, saying what's wrong with it. I would believe anybody. So I wanted a car and that didn't have any problems, and mine doesn't have any problems. I mean, I get the oil change, and that hasn't been very often because, cars now go a long time. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, and I don't know if I brought it up in the video, but almost every type of shopping or service comes to your home or your apartment or your condo in Colombia. So I decided, since the car's still under warranty and everything is so cheap, so even the oil change and the full checkup of everything at the Kia dealership, which is not that far away from me, it's in Llano Grande, is so inexpensive. I do that rather than the private mechanic, just to make sure, since it's, a newer car, everything's maintained well. But no, they come and pick up my car. So they have, one of their loaner cars. So they have two guys in a car, comes first thing in the morning. I have an appointment. So they say, oh, we're coming at 8 a.m. Okay. They show up at my condo at 8 a.m. And one of them takes my key and drives it back. And the other one, drives that other, it's not a loaner car for me. I mean, it's a dealership car. They come in one car and they leave it. One leaves in that car and the other one leaves in my car. And then they do the same thing when they return it at the end of the day. So, and Petunia's vet came to my home, and they also have insurance, which I haven't had time to get yet, but I'm going to add it to my government insurance that I have. It's going to be $20 a month, but this is a doctor and a nurse. And I see these vehicles everywhere. This is what they have in Colombia for $20 a month. So let's say you get a rash, you don't know what it is, or you feel like, I've had a cold for 2.5 weeks. I don't know. Is it bronchitis? Like, I don't know. That's included. They come to your home. And if they feel that you're terribly sick, it's a medical vehicle. They'll take you to a hospital. I mean, it's just like everywhere will come to your home. I mean, just about everywhere. Almost every restaurant delivers. They also have food delivery services and things like that here. But it's just amazing. Oh, I told you I needed lab work done when I saw a doctor. And it cost me $5 more than if I went to the hospital to have it done. And I thought, with Spanish not being the best, I thought, no, I spent the $5 to have a phlebotomist come to my home. And by the way, some people think that this is a third world country. It's not. And if you all haven't seen my shorts, I did a short of 2 bathrooms. One that was at a restaurant, and the other was in a parking garage somewhere. And I mean, it is so clean here and so beautiful and so meticulous and so elegant. I mean, it doesn't even matter if it's an old building. I mean, everywhere is so well taken care of and so service oriented. This is just a culture, and it doesn't matter the income level here. My region is also, I call it the Hamptons of Medellín, but people often refer to it as the South American Switzerland. Because for those of you that have been to Switzerland, I mean, you go through these towns and villages. I mean, you literally could eat food off the road. It's that clean. And everybody has little flower boxes. They do that here too. When I walk into El Retiro, there's a government building. It's gorgeous. It's stunning, right across from the church. And you'll see it in any creators' videos when they go to the town square of El Retiro. But you'll see these geraniums. And I thought at first they were fake, because any day that I walk by there, I have never seen a brown leaf on a single one. So somebody every morning must go and make sure these plants, because I've had geraniums before, they get, the little leaves get brown. They're perfect all the time. And this is how the houses are all maintained. And the grandmother is usually out every morning, and she's not sweeping her stoop. She's out there and literally sponging down her front door, getting any fingerprint off the glass. And she's mopping her front stoop and mopping the entire sidewalk for the entire area that their house takes up, out there with a mop. Every day. So it's incredible. Okay, I'm going to talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to take another little sip here, and then I'm going to catch up on questions. So we have, I think I can go another hour. I know I promised everybody that I'd be here till 3. So right now we're at, I'm sorry, I'm giving Colombian time. Oh, I'm going to talk about time in a second too. Okay. One more. Bring this a little closer so I can read everybody better. Okay. So, time. A lot of people get confused in my consults, even though I have my calendar set up so people see it in their own time zone, and I see my appointments in my time zone. People still get confused, and there's a reason for it. Colombia, as is true with most of South America, does not recognize our crazy daylight savings time, which is, and I know Arizona doesn't either. But because of that, if you look on the map, Colombia is directly south of Florida, kind of the pretty much just due south. So same time zone. But half the year, which is the daylight savings time, which is not the real time, which is right now, we're about to change beginning in November again. Thank God. So for half the year, while the US is doing its crazy daylight savings time, it becomes an hour later in the US because that's not the real time. So, like right now, it's 2 o'clock in where I am, which is called Bogota time. And in Miami, New York, it's excuse me. Oh, it is 3 o'clock. Oh, I have been going 3 hours. Oh my gosh. I was saying I was ending at 3, so yeah, I'm getting ready to leave. No wonder my mouth is so dry. Okay, like, I'm not even, I tell you, the daylight savings gets to me. So yes, it's a 1 hour difference, but come November 1 or whenever we're changing again this year, it's going to be the same, we're gonna be for 6 months on the same time. So, the easiest thing to do always, guys, is just wherever you're thinking of, you can just put it in Google. Like, let's say you're going to Paris and you have no idea, just go and Google what time is it in Paris right now. Look at your clock and look at Paris, and you know how many hours difference it is. So that's how that works. All right, so I'm going to look and see if there are any other questions that haven't been asked, because I have been talking for 3 hours. What I did was I told everybody Eastern time. I said I was live from 12 to 3, so I had the 3 locked in my brain, but it is 3 right now, Eastern time. Yes, Dana, that's true. Yeah, it's super, super clean here. And I hear that's not the case in every part of Colombia. I don't think it's not extremely like crazy bad, but it's something in particular about this region where literally everything is scrubbed down every day and several times a day. When I go in a public restroom, there constantly are people that are cleaning it. So in the US, if you were in a parking garage, probably once a night somebody's coming in. So if you're there in the middle of the day, it's just disgusting. That's not the case here. Leo is asking if this is indiscreet. How often do I travel to Florida? Maybe for Christmas. Like, I don't mind. It just varies. But that's up to the person. I mean, I could tell you what it costs. Generally, it costs me about $400 round trip to fly direct, nonstop. So I try to get off and back, not frequently, but for longer stays. But I never say when leaving specifically. That's something I did van life, and I followed a lot of solo female creators. I didn't have a channel, but followed them, and it's super important. Not to tell people where you are when you're on the World Wide Web like this, because there can be some one crazy, obsessed, wacko person. And to be honest, I'm not worried about that being a Colombian person. I'm more worried about when I go back to the US. So I don't say exactly when I'm going. Um, Dana asked how many scouting trips did I do to Colombia before I decided to move to two. And the second one was for, I think, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, to be absolutely sure. Yes, Boink, and flights are usually very reasonable. You can look on Kayak or, wherever, and put your city in. They're adding more and more cities. I know now from Houston, you can fly direct to Medellin. Otherwise, if you can't, what I always suggest to people, it would be my preference. Bogota is a major city, so you can fly to Bogota from just about every major city in the United States. But that's not true. Like you can't fly, I don't think yet from Chicago to Medellin, but you can to Bogota. But it would be my personal preference, unless there was a huge difference in price, to fly to Miami, to connect in Miami rather than Bogota. It's a major, major airport there. And also, when you're first moving here and not understanding language and having to do all that customs and stuff there, I could fly direct, but if I had to change planes, I probably would have done that in Miami and just had all that familiarity and all that, and only have one stop out of the country, and have that be, when I got to Medellin. So that's my advice, but obviously price comes into it too. Some people connect in Panama. Again, just adding another two international, you know, uh, destinations in one day. To me, it just, if it's the same price, why not connect in Miami or, one of the other US cities that are close by? Okay, this is going to be my last question. Dana is asking, how do you get through customs? Are there long lines? Well, for those of you who are seniors, and I believe it's like from 60 up and they don't check ID, there's a special line. It's for senior citizens and families with young children and the handicapped. And I can't remember what it is in Spanish, but it's a big blue and white sign. You'll see everybody lined up on the right, and then there's this blue sign on the left, which hardly has anybody in it. And it, like on the right, it's like that whole zigzag thing, which depends upon the day of the week, the time of day. Sometimes it's fast. Sometimes you could be in that line for a couple hours. Not fun. But if you're 60 and up, then you're good to go because you can do that other line. So that's what I would suggest. Things like global entry are very helpful when going to the US. So, uh, and global entry, by the way, does the TSA pre-check also, which saves a lot of time. But for one price, you can have both. So that's going to speed up going through immigration when you go back to the US each time, and also give you priority TSA line too. So it's kind of a double whammy. And I can't remember, but I got that before I left. No, actually, I didn't have it when I was back in Florida one time. You have to go in person, and I got an appointment, and it wasn't near where I live. I had to go to either Miami or Fort Lauderdale, and I drove. I just took half a day and went and did it, and it's a really quick interview. Then they do, I think it's an FBI background check, whatever. And then they just let me know in an email I was approved. And it's not, they'll mail you a card, but you don't need it. You're just given a global entry number. And that's the number when you buy your ticket. There's always an option to enter your TSA pre-check or global entry number. And it's just associated digitally with your ticket. So it makes it a lot easier getting back to the US. But I think there's something about getting into Colombia, and Huli was saying it, but I just I haven't had time to look into it. But there's something that you can get to speed things up on this end. But to be honest, being a senior, I haven't had any trouble at all because of that expedited line for, again, senior citizens and handicapped. So anyway, I want to thank everybody. I'm kind of running out of steam here. Uh, really love talking to all of you again. I did my best to kind of scroll up and keep up with, who was here when. So if I missed your question, I do apologize. I do try to anywhere to every 4 to 6 weeks I do a live. So try and catch me next time. But most of the things I talk about, actually, I've addressed because I talk so much in a lot of my videos. I've addressed most of them. And as I said at the beginning of the video, the way I answer in an environment like this, I don't know who you are, what your situation is, or anything. So it's a very generalized answer. So when you do a consult with me, and there's a link for my consults and Juli Franco's consults underneath every video. And these are private video calls of an hour or longer. And you have our undivided attention, and we have a lot of information that you're giving us so that we can answer very specifically to you and your needs and your lifestyle and your questions specifically that have to do with you. So that's definitely the better way to go. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're planning on getting to know this area, whether it's Medellin and in particular, this Eastern Antioquia area where I am, right outside of the city, which is also known as El Oriente. It means out east. We're sort of southeast, but that's what the area means. That it's very hard to get to know it on your own, even if you rented a car out here, because understanding where to go. And I know from working with Huli after I bought, she handled my visa and helped me with so many things. Once I met her, she's amazing. You guys know how much I rave about her. That a lot of times we'd meet somewhere and we'd just go in her car. And the things I was like, I didn't know. She's like, oh, let me show you this. Let me show you that. Oh, you like this? Like, you got to see, oh, wow. I mean, what a difference. I learned more from her just one time in the car than I did my two like really intensive get to know the area trips, which I was trying to do on my own. And I tell you, the biggest difference is I actually found a way to hire a driver. I found an Uber driver that would do it, whose English wasn't great. Then I went through a tour company, like it was more like a tourist tour company. And they said they were going to give me somebody, for the day that spoke English. It was expensive, but they were actually local to Medellin, but I was touring out here. They had, even if they were from here, they were showing me like downtown Rio Negro, where the locals live. And nothing to say is wrong with it, but my income level was higher than that. And even people that only want to pay $500 a month, there's nicer areas that people from the US and Canada would want to live than downtown Rio Negro. But the driver didn't understand. There was just so little communication on that level, and him not understanding the Americano sort of perspective of things and wanting to say, and thank goodness I had a list because I had done my research. Like I wanted to see a supermarket. I wanted to see Jumbo, which is kind of like a small Costco. There were places, and he thought I was crazy. He kept laughing. But I was trying to get an idea of like my everyday life, but then trying to see neighborhoods and like any housing, like he had no clue. So that's what we do on the tours. Just so you all know, it's private. It's all day. There's one that's with Huli herself. There's another with one of her concierge team. She works with two people that are local and understand the Americana aesthetic, just like she does. And that tour is actually less expensive. And you spend the whole day with them. And I call you actually a week before your tour and do a planning call. So even if I've done a consult with you before, I ask really specific questions about what are your dreams here? How do you picture your life is going to be here? What's your budget going to be here? All these kinds of things, because then Huli and her team know exactly what you're looking for. But I'm going to give you one little example. And this is what's so cool about it being customized. I created this idea because I wanted it to be everything I didn't have. Like what? And it was hard. Let me tell you, coming down here like an older solo woman, like I trying to figure all this out. It was hard. So I'll give you another example. So oftentimes, like third of the way through the tour, people have described to me, say it's a couple, they described to me they're looking for this and that. They want to be right in, a lot of people say right in the pueblo itself of El Retiro, and there's so much more than that. But they were, a portion through the day, and they said, "But we have a dog. We need a yard." Well, not in downtown, but in the pueblo itself, it's historic. It's like going to, have you been to towns in Tuscany? Like there's no grass or anything. It's just all cobblestone and these old buildings and really tight. So it's like, and so then Huli changed the tour like midstream. and she didn't have certain places. And she actually ended up calling relocation clients of hers long before. I mean, she's known them for years, long before I even moved here. And they said, "Oh, come on out. They can see our house." And they live in a really cool gated neighborhood and stuff. And so they spent like an hour with this couple and stuff so they could get a feel with that was actually what they were looking for. But it ended up happening just kind of spur of the moment, because throughout the day, it's a give and take. It's a conversation. And so what we want is for everyone to have a very good idea of the region and where they picture themselves, and to book the tour at the beginning of your trip. We take all of these things into consideration because we want this to be the most effective visit you could possibly have should you decide to move here. So why at the beginning? Because let's say you're touring around and you absolutely fall in love with El Carmen. That's your place. Well, do you really want to fall in love with El Carmen on your 9th day when you're leaving on day 10? Like, no. You want to fall in love with our El Carmen on your 2nd or 3rd day here, right? So you can go back a couple times. You can, oh, here's the other thing too. We always suggest don't do an Airbnb. They're risky all over the world. If you don't like your Airbnb, or it happens to be above a noisy restaurant or something, they're not going to tell you that in the thing. And then you're stuck with it. You get no refund. If you're coming down to have a super enjoyable vacation or super combination, knowledgeable or informational relocation trip, then you want to be in a hotel. Number one, we provide a list of, when we're not affiliated at all, but ones that we know are really good and super nice and that you'd be happy with. But the other thing with a hotel is you just book directly with the hotel. It's pennies on the dollar compared to the US. And then you can check out early. It's not you don't have to prepay. I mean, you can on like hotels.com and maybe save $5 a day. But we encourage people, don't do that. Just contact the hotel directly and just book it directly. Because again, I'm going to use El Carmen as an example. I had a couple that did this, and many for other areas. They were staying at one place, and they said, "Oh, we're checking out tomorrow, and we're going to go stay at the Casa Rosé in El Carmen for the next 5 days." So you want to give yourself flexibility, super important. And we have so many tips like that. So many, we're just like full of tips and tips and tips and tips. The very best, most effective way to learn about the area, and then even then some if you decide to move here, how to do it in the most effective way. So I hope everybody has gotten a lot out of my rambling for over 3 hours again. Really enjoyed speaking with everyone. Really appreciate everybody. Oh, Andre, were you here this whole time? I'm seeing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody. And feel free to reach out. Anything I can do to help you, I'm here for you. Take care, everyone. Have a really good rest of your Sunday. Ciao. As they say, they don't just say ciao when it's really super sweet. In Colombia, they say ciao, ciao. So ciao, ciao, everybody. Love you all. Thank you so much for supporting my channel and falling in love with Colombia like I did. Take care, and I'll see you all really, really soon. Bye-bye now.